Okay, I think we should be live. GE, if you will, let me know if we aren't for some reason. I am still off location, so I cannot see the live chat. And if there's an echo, hopefully there's not. We were trying to iron out some issues before we went live. The master that I have going out, I can hear both of these gentlemen fine. Hopefully you can, but please tag us and let us know if that's not the case. Um, Other than that, I'm just going to jump right into tonight. GE, you want to do your hello?
What's up, heathens? How y'all doing?
And we also have GMan. GMan, welcome to the show.
I'm happy to be welcomed.
Good. So, GMan, first, Gauss Engineer, do you have anything that you want to announce coming up? That sort of thing? Anything?
No, I just have a pretty normal week next week, so just be looking out for videos every day.
Okay. And GMan, anything that you have coming up that you want to announce to anyone before we jump into?
Yeah, I guess the two things. One, I'll be on YouTube full time in September, and two, I have a Dragoon diss track coming out when I come back. That's the first video I'm gonna upload.
Gotcha. Oh, I have to say, I saw your intro video. What's the name of it? The one that Monty and them did.
Who's Monty?
You know you have the audacity that intro video, the
Oh,
rap.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
How did you feel about that? That was pretty sick. I have to admit, I like that. It was catchy.
That was kind of funny. I refused to make a response to it because it was actually pretty good. It was funny. I like it. I wish I had it for myself.
Nice. Well, okay, good. So, um, Gauss Engineer, before we jump in, does everything look good on the chat end?
Yeah, everything's looking good.
Golden. Okay, so G-Man, obviously we have not always seen eye to eye. We've crossed paths quite a few times, but we are here tonight. We're going to start off with the LGBTQ issue, and then we'll see if we have time to get into the slavery in the Bible. But I guess we'll start off with you explaining sort of what your issue or your stance when it comes to LGBTQ people.
All right. So, I mean, as people in general, I don't have a problem with them at all. I mean, they're human beings. It's just their sexual orientation I disagree with, primarily because the Bible calls the sexual orientation sin. Um, I the main thing I wanted to talk about today was the political side,
Mm-hmm.
in which I have a conviction that that the people who are involved in LGBTQ are trying to get straight people to participate in that particular orientation. And they don't seem to be satisfied unless everybody is practicing that orientation. That's really what I wanted to get into
Really?
today. Yeah,
You
that's
really
how they come across.
you really think that?
Yes.
How does the LGBTQ community come across as wanting to force everybody to practice their specific orientation?
Well, for starters, they're teaching our kids about it and they're trying to say it's okay. That is natural.
That is not well. Okay, but that you have to understand how that is not forcing people, like spreading awareness of how it's not like a sin or it's not wrong to be gay is not forcing people to hold a certain orientation.
Telling people that they don't have the right to say that is wrong and that is sinful, and calling them bigots for saying that is wrong and sinful.
Well,
I don't know. I think that
Who,
that would
who
push a
said?
person to
do you
think it's okay and then want other people doing it.
do you think that?
I mean,
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, who has said that you can't say that it's a sin or that it's wrong? You're obviously able to say those things.
If I go on my YouTube channel right now and I go on my YouTube channel and I say that homosexuality is a sin and go into detail why that's the case, my channel will be flagged. And it will be flagged over and over and over again until the video is taken down. This has happened to countless conservatives here on the internet.
Can you for me like go through like what you just said about like why it is a sin? Like what exactly is inherently wrong with being in the LGBTQ community?
What's wrong with being in the community, or what's wrong with doing what they do in the community?
Both. Like, what we can start out with what's doing what they're doing. Like, what
All
to
right.
you is the defining thing where this is a unnatural thing that people possess?
All right. Before I get into that, I want to just make a quick qualifier here, real quick.
Sure.
I don't know if anybody is on here seeing me for the first time. I'm a Christian, and you have secular views regarding LGBTQ. So
Mhm.
I just wanted to point that out. So all of my opinions and everything that I'm about to say is coming from the Christian worldview. It's not coming from the secular worldview. I believe that the Bible teaches that homosexuality is wrong and it goes against God's design when He created man and He created woman. And I think it causes a lot of confusion with people's genders and and it goes against nature in general. Sex exists primarily to reproduce.
Mm.
Okay, and in order for human beings to thrive and to reproduce, we have to have a man and a woman having sex, and not a man and a man and a woman. Because if you do that, then we're not going to be able to have kids, and we're not going to be able to thrive.
Are you aware that there are countless species in nature that practice homosexuality? Like that's
I'm aware that there are animals that practices that I'm sorry, the animals that have instincts and are probably confused about what they're doing.
I don't know about that. I mean, I'm fairly certain dogs know they're fucking other male dogs at that point.
Mm.
well.
Tell me something. When you see a dog having sex with a teddy bear, what do you see when that happens? Does he literally have an
A good
attraction to a
Saturday.
teddy bear, or a
Well,
tree,
I don't
or
know. When
a
a girl humps
bedpost,
a
or
pillow, is that an attraction to a pillow?
well, the girl's not trying to get an orgasm or anything like that. The dog
Yes, she
is
is.
is
Why?
having sex.
Why else?
The dog the dog is having sex with a pillow. Are you telling me that the dog prefers a pillow over another dog?
Depends on the dog.
I don't know what a dog prefers. He
I'd like to
might
see that
prefer a
study.
pillow. Hell, I don't know.
But my point is that even if it's an instinctual thing, that happens in nature. So by default, it can't be unnatural.
Well, I disagree with you. Again, when you see a male dog doing things with other male dogs, they're also doing those same things with pillows and with bedposts, and they're doing it because they're probably confused, or they're just trying to get some release or something.
Okay,
So
so
I don't think they prefer to be with a male dog. I think they prefer to be with a female dog. That's my opinion as a Christian.
Okay, let me ask this question: when a man or a woman masturbates with a bedpost, is that some kind of like abomination unto God, or
Well,
are
the
they
Bible.
confused? Do they think that oh no, what am I doing? I'm screwing myself with a bedpost. Like, do you think that people are literally like confused when they do that?
That's not an argument against what I'm talking about. Masturbation is a sin in Christianity. So,
oh, okay.
Why
Let's
is that a sin?
well, number one, it involves idolatry because you have to you have to look at images. You have to lust after these images. You have to get aroused by these images in order for you to actually carry out these things. So it would be considered a sin.
um okay. I don't want to get too far off course with the masturbation thing. We can come back to that if need be. But ultimately, I guess what I wanted to ask you from the start of this is if you have two people, right? A man, woman and a woman, whatever the case may be. If their relationship is built on love, trust, that sort of thing, take the sexual aspect out of it, because that's not something that exists within every single example of a relationship. So let's say it's just built on love. What inherently is wrong with that?
Well, number one, it goes against God's design. God created man first. That would be Adam. He said that it was not good for Adam to be alone, that he would create him a help, and he created him a woman. And that woman was called Eve. And that woman came from him. Uh, the issue with love, uh, a man can have a relationship in a romantic relationship with their cat or their dog or some type of animal. You know, it's called bestiality. It doesn't necessarily mean it's right. It doesn't matter how loving the relationship is. It doesn't mean that it's right. Or you
Wait,
can
wait.
have a grown man loving a little child and be a pedophile. You know what I mean? Or be somebody
Okay,
into statutory rape or something like that.
sure.
Then
I'm
it don't
gonna
necessarily mean that it's right.
I'm gonna be charitable.
No,
I'm gonna start off this talk being charitable. There's a big difference between two consenting adults and the examples that you brought up, which are bestiality and pedophilia. Both of those, the other parties cannot consent. With the adults, these are two consenting adults that are going into that. That is the fundamental difference between these two. The other parties can't consent. So it's not a fair comparison.
uh the comparison I gave you with an animal can be a fair comparison. That's number one.
How can a cat consent?
Because well, here's the thing: if a cat doesn't consent, it's gonna bite you or scratch you or do something like that to get away from you. There are people that practice bestiality in this country all the time. Secondly, in order
Right,
I
to be
think
guilty
Shane
of
there's
Dawson would
statutory,
disagree.
pedophilia, but that doesn't make it. It's a completely different thing because these are people that are preying on an entity that cannot consent. They cannot say verbally, "Yes, this is what I want."
okay, so the other example I was going to give you before you interrupted me was the issue of statutory rape.
Mhm.
According to the law, I believe somebody has to be at least 18 years old before you can. Is it 16 or 18? I'm not 100. It depends on what state you're living in, I
Mhm.
guess. But you have to be of the proper age before you can do anything with them. Now, you can have a 13-year-old be totally in love with an 80-year-old, but it doesn't necessarily make it right because again, it goes against God's design.
Do you
And if
know?
you have two men, if you have two men
Well,
that love
well,
each other
hold,
and want to come to, I'm not, hold on. If you have two men that want to come together and they love each other and they're caring for one another, you're still going against God's design.
Okay, GE.
so hold on. What exactly is against God's design with like a 13-year-old and an 80-year-old? I don't understand that. Like, what is there like an age requirement that God has ordained in the Bible?
This issue of the law in Romans 13, it talks about how we're supposed to obey the governing authorities, just as long as the governing authorities aren't asking us to do something that goes against God, because his law and his word is much higher than any government's law down here on earth.
Slavery was law. Is that something that was a just law? Was that in the best interest of the
Can we
people?
save that for after
No,
LGBTQ?
I'm just saying that that ties in because you just made the point that we're supposed to obey the law. So if we lived back in that time period, that was a law. Does that mean that we should abide by that, or was that a
Okay.
law that?
Well, if you're talking about the transatlantic slave trade, we would have to
Yeah,
get specific about what laws you're talking about and which laws goes directly against what the Bible says.
I'm talking about the owning people, having to use a different bathroom
There's nothing
than.
wrong with owning people. See, here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with owning people. It's what you do with the people that becomes the issue.
There's nothing wrong with owning another person.
Nope. Especially in your worldview, godless engineer. And
No.
before you start laughing, just see it from my perspective for here for one moment, and then laugh. Okay. Okay. There's just one question for you, godless. Okay. Do you consider yourself to be an animal?
Yes.
I'll say he is.
Okay. Okay. Do you believe that an animal should own another animal?
Well, I feel like you're obfuscating the entire argument. I mean, because obviously, like a horse can't own another horse or something like that. There are symbiotic relationships out there in which both parties can mutually benefit from it. But as far as like a human person owning another human person, no, that's not okay.
Okay. So let me get this straight. You believe you're an animal. You believe that a horse is an animal, but you believe it's okay to own a horse, which is an animal, but you don't believe that a human being who's an animal should own another human being that happens to be an
Do
animal.
you,
That's very confusing to me from your worldview.
do you think there's a difference between a horse and a person?
Yes, I know that there's a difference between a horse and a person, but according to evolutionists, horses and humans are basically animals according to evolutionists.
Right.
So my question for you is it immoral for an animal to own another animal? Because that's pretty much what we're talking about right now from your worldview.
No, but no. See, what you're doing is you're running an equivocation fallacy here because you're trying to equivocate me to some of these other animals out there that we have always owned as like livestock, and you can't make that thing. You're trying to boil down the conversation into a straw man argument. And that's all you're doing right here.
Really? Because every conversations I got into with an evolutionist have always tried to convince me that I'm an animal and that you're an animal and that you share a common ancestor with another animal. I'm not equivocating anything. I'm taking your worldview to its to the logical conclusion. You're basically saying that it's wrong for an animal to own another animal. Now, if you want to talk about this on the Christian worldview, we can do that if you want.
We think it's wrong for people to own other people. That has nothing to do with the fact that we're animals and that um, a horse is an animal. We are animals. It's people are people. Horses are horses, and it's okay to own a horse because, for the most part, you're either using them for some type of labor, transportation, uh, pets. You're taking care of them. People are completely different. There's a huge difference between owning a person that can make sentient decisions and a horse.
That's interesting. Maybe you can educate me here a little bit. So there's a difference between people and animals. There's a difference between the two, right?
No, no, no. He didn't say that there's a difference between animals and people.
Horses.
There's a difference between humans and then other living organisms. We obviously have a higher order brain function to where we can do a lot more things than other animals can do. But there are plenty of other animals that are very sentient in the animal kingdom, like
Mhm.
dolphins. Though they're pretty sentient.
Pigs.
I can't think of the whole list of animals right now, but we're finding out like a lot. Like recently, I figured out that seagulls will actually react to you staring at them. Whether or not that is an indication of their theory of mind or anything like that, but the fact that we're seeing the same traits that humans possess in other animals in the animal kingdom, I mean, it's very intriguing to me. But still, that does not actually apply to this particular situation because the particular situation we're talking about is a human being owning another human being. That's what we're
So you're
talking about here. And
so
what you're trying to do is obfuscate the conversation down to where it's meaningless. And
So
I personally, I wish that we would actually get back onto the topic of, actual slavery and how that relates to the Christian worldview.
just so I understand what you're saying here, you're saying that more evolved people, like people, animals that are more evolved than other animals, can't own another human being or whatever you're saying, basically, right?
have you ever seen a horse own a human?
No, but I've seen a human being on a horse.
Right. There's a reason
Mm.
for that. We're at the top of the food chain. We have the ability to put a horse in a situation where it's trainable, controllable. If you
Wait a
could
minute, I made a
reverse that,
mistake. I'm sorry.
sure,
Creationist cat owns Vadim. If I'm not mistaken, I think I heard creationist cat say he owns Vadim.
that
That
is true.
Vadim is his slave.
That is
Yeah, I
true.
think I heard him say that. This is a
I
joke or whatever, but yeah,
Okay, okay.
I can vouch for
First,
that.
I don't know why that's important right now.
He was making a joke.
it's a joke. It's a joke.
Um,
It's a joke.
so,
Okay.
but that's the point there. You've never seen a horse own a human ever. You've never seen
Yeah.
a dog.
So,
Well, I can't say that. My dog pretty much owns me. So.
since Godless engineer believes that I'm equivocating and that I'm trying to change the topic, Godless engineer, why don't you educate me and tell me why is it wrong to own a human being in of itself?
Because I mean, it's wrong to own another person and force them into labor and just own another person. Like because we're all equal. Like human beings are equal to each other. It's wrong of me to own another person. I can't own another person.
Okay, so I agree with you when you say forced labor, but you still haven't given me a reason on why
I'll give
it
you a
is
reason.
wrong to own a human being.
I'll give you a reason because I don't
Yeah.
want to be owned, and my worldview dictates that I want to do the least amount of harm and the most good. I don't want to. I don't want to be enslaved. Therefore, I don't think that we should enslave.
Okay, that's interesting. Uh, quick question. When you say that you don't want to be owned, in what way are you talking about? Transatlantic slave trade, or are you talking about any other means whatsoever?
I don't want to be owned any way that owning could
Okay,
apply.
Godless engineer, this is
What?
your first time hearing this, so you don't even know where this is going. You should go to your Skype or something so your friends can tell you what I'm about to do. So anyway, the reason why I asked this question is that number one, just because you don't want to be owned, don't mean that somebody else doesn't want to be owned. When we go to the Bible and we start talking about things like indentured servitude, where a person voluntarily signs away their rights and sign away their freedoms, where they can't come and go whenever they want,
No,
they are actually slaves.
I have a question, real
So
quick.
again, I'm
No,
not understanding what's so funny.
that's not
If
what
a
indentured
person,
servitude is.
godless engineer, 1 second. So if a person voluntarily wants to become a slave, how is that immoral?
Can I ask a question real quick before you go, Dallas Engineer? And I just have a simple, and then you can explain what indentured servitude is. Do you think that these people that you're talking about, if you pulled them aside and said, "Hey, look, we're not really going to go through this whole indentured servitude thing if you don't want to. Like, if this is something you don't want to do, we'll let you free right now." Or was it a way to pay off a debt, and this was part of the legal system that they had at the time? Would they elect to still be a slave if given the option to go about their business?
Well, actually, if you look at the book of Genesis, when I believe it was Jacob, if I'm not mistaken, when Jacob actually was going to get his two wives, one of them was Rachel and the other one was Leah, he voluntarily became, I believe his name was Laban. He voluntarily became his servant or his slave in order to receive, I believe, Rachel. But he got Leah first, and then he got Rachel second. He had to serve 14 years to
So
get her, and he signed
right,
away.
right,
He
okay,
signed away
okay.
his freedom. Hold on 1 second. He signed away his autonomy. He signed away his freedom in order to get them. See, that's the other question I want to ask you, godless engineer. When does someone become a slave? How much autonomy does a person have to lose before they become a slave? Because you said forced labor is wrong. Certainly you're against prison then, aren't you?
I've been there. I can speak
Well,
on that.
with
But go ahead, GE. Talk to your point.
Prison is not what we're talking about here tonight. And regardless of how I may feel about all of that with prison, um, I just want to lay it out there, the actual story of the whole indentured servitude that you just brought up. So basically, he wanted one of the daughters first, Rachel first, right? So he worked 7 years in order to get Rachel, and then once he got a daughter, he had the whole night with her and everything like that, and then woke up the next morning and was like, "Oh shit, I got the wrong daughter. Damn it, you gave me the wrong daughter." So he's like, "Well, you got to work another 7 years to get my other daughter." So now he's working another 7 years to get Rachel, and so now he's got two wives, and each of those wives have a concubine, and he fucks all of them. And all of this is ordained by God, by the way. It's like fine with God. God's fine with him fucking four women legally and everything like that. So I just wanted to put that out there. Now, what was
Your
your question
story
for
is
me?
incorrect.
Uh,
Your
it,
story was
No,
incorrect.
no,
That's
my
not what
story is not
happened.
incorrect. That is correct.
Okay. So God
G-Man,
ordained it, you
Oh,
said.
so
G-Man, you're
in indentured. Well,
go
okay,
ahead.
so indentured servitude in the Bible, it has a lot of protections for those Israelites that are in that. All right, so you can't compare indentured servitude to this chattel slavery that is in the Bible. Those are two different things.
And you brought up prison,
Okay.
G-Man. G-Man, I can talk to you
Yeah.
about the prison aspect because I've actually been there. I spent a year in prison. So what's your comparison to slavery and prison?
Well, before we do that, I like to respond
Sure,
to Godless
sure.
Engineer and his ignorance to the Bible real quick, if you don't mind, Godless Engineer. You said that God ordained. Hold on one second. You used the word ordained and you said condoned in the same sentence. So when you say God ordained it, can you? I'm sure you got a Bible verse to prove that, don't you?
Well, I just meant that like this was the path laid out for Jacob. Like this was fine with God. Maybe I misspoke when I said ordained. I just meant that God was fine with this situation. He was fine with that entire setup. I mean, that is the person that God chose to build his entire Israelite nation off of. Because if you guys don't remember, and Kyle, you might like this, but later on, when Jacob, I believe that was, goes to leave, right? He goes out into the desert and he naked wrestles God, and then God renamed him to Israel. So
I'm
it's a
jealous
very
actually.
fun story.
I'm jealous actually.
Okay, so I want to respond to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
What you just said or whatever, but regarding your prison example,
Hmm.
you have no freedom in prison. You
I
have
know.
little to no autonomy whatsoever.
I know.
And I know that most atheists support the prison system.
No, we don't actually.
So,
You
don't.
I absolutely abhor. I think it's the prison system that we have here in this country is absolutely awful, but it is not slavery.
Okay, two questions. What country out there has a better prison system than the United States of
The
America? And
Netherlands,
then
Sweden,
I'm sorry. Just one
sure.
second. And then number two, how is it not slavery?
The Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden, all of these Nordic countries have a brilliant way that they do their prison system, and you can check it out if you want to look into it. I'm not going to go into it here,
Well,
but
what do they do?
their recidivism rate, like you have to go based on if you're looking at numbers, right? The amount of repeat offenders. So when you get out, what's the number of people that get out that are coming back in? And they have the lowest, especially compared to us. The United States imprisons more people than anybody in the world, especially for non-violent offenses. But it's not slavery. Yes, no, you don't have freedom, and that is because you gave it up when you committed the crime and you were convicted of it. That's part of the punishment that goes into the the criminal justice system.
Okay, so basically you're saying that that prison is basically because when you gave up your freedom, that means you're a slave and you're a slave to the system.
No,
Okay,
see,
so there's no getting around that.
slavery is taking someone that did nothing. Let's say all the people that we have back in history, especially with the transatlantic slave trade. These people did nothing, but were looked at as less than and put in chains and made slaves. The people in prison committed an act that they knew was illegal. They purposely did something that violated a criminal code, knowing that if you do that, this could be a potential um, punishment for it. That's not the same thing at all.
I'm looking at the definition of slavery, and
Okay,
nothing you just said is the definition here. Is this one of them situations where the dictionary uses you know
maybe.
uh, is the dictionary
No,
doesn't count or whatever? Because my,
okay.
my
Well,
No,
can
definition
yes,
can
here
I
yes.
request that we
doesn't
get
say
back onto
nothing
the
like that.
topic of LGBT?
You know.
What's
Please don't show the screen, the camera, your phone.
what's the definition that you want to go with, G-Man? Then what's the definition that you
Well,
have?
well, you're a slave. You're a slave when you have no freedom.
Right.
So if you're in prison, you don't have any freedom. You come and go when the guards tell you to come and go.
Are
You
you?
eat when
Do
they
you
tell you
think
to
that?
eat.
Do you honestly
You
think
get
that
out
being
when
in
they tell you
prison
to get out.
is like being a slave?
Well, let's talk about the transatlantic slave trade here for a moment, okay? And then let's get into the
Let me
prison
stop
thing.
you before you get into that, because here's why it's not. Every day I worked a job. I got paid a wage for that job. I was able to choose every meal what I wanted to have based on what they have. I was able to get extra money in and buy an assortment from the convenience store that they had there. I was able to make a phone call to my loved ones whenever I wanted to. I could sit and draw, I could do crossword puzzles, I could work out, I could do whatever I want, but I can't leave the facility. That's the
You can
difference.
do whatever you want, but you can't leave the facility.
Essentially, yes. I mean,
And
you can't do whatever you want, but you can't do
I would
that
like to
now.
respond to that. I would like to respond to that, make some comparisons to the
Sure,
prison system with the transatlantic slave trade, if you don't mind.
sure.
Kyle, you're fairly good at history, aren't you?
That depends. I'm not going to say yes.
Okay, cool. So, we pretty much got a pretty good idea of what slavery was like here in America, right? When slavery
Yeah.
ended, what happened after that? What happened after that?
What do you mean?
When slavery ended in the United States, was black people, quote unquote, free in the United States?
I don't know. Are you getting that the prison became the new slavery?
Well, I can build I can build a case on why the prison system is a new slavery. But before I do that, I like to talk about the KKK. I like to talk about the economy. I like to talk about segregation. I like to talk about all of that stuff, and then ultimately talk about what's going on in the prison system and show all the similarities that's going on with the prison system, what was
Listen,
going on with transatlantic
okay,
slave trade.
here's the
So
thing.
okay,
when you sit there and you
Here's
try
the
to
thing.
argue that it's
Hold
not
on.
slavery,
Here's the
I don't
thing.
know about that.
You won't get a lot of pushback from me in the case of were there laws created, especially when you look at like the crack cocaine versus regular cocaine, a way that were racially motivated. Absolutely. I think that goes without saying. I think that there are people that put laws into place that targeted African Americans, and that definitely did happen. But the 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 way that you get there, the way that you get into prison, is you have to commit an act that a jury of your peers or a judge convicts you of, and it sends you there. Now, I know what you're probably going to say: is everybody in prison guilty? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There are people that fall through the cracks in every aspect of life. It's just a statistical thing. But for the most part, I think uh, it the guilty people are there.
Okay. There's a lot of non-guilty people there anyway.
all
But
right.
Yeah,
going back
yeah,
to the
I agree.
going back to the issue of whether or not you can own a human being and whether or not that's actually immoral.
Well,
Again, I haven't heard one argument yet, not one, that suggests that owning a human being is wrong in of itself. Now, if you want to talk about the cruelty that happens after a person is
hold
owned
on.
by another person, I'm not finished yet. Hold on. So if you want to talk about the cruelty that happens after you own a person, we can do that. But if you want to talk about the very act of owning a person, right now, Godless Engineer owns me. He has the papers to prove it. There's nothing immoral about that.
Wait a minute.
Godless Engineer could tell me to go and do. He can give me $1 billion and tell me to go feed the hungry. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, if Godless Engineer starts beating me for no apparent
That's
reason,
not
Godless
slavery.
Yeah.
Engineer, just let me finish. Let me finish. And it is slavery. You don't know what
Yeah.
slavery is, I don't think, Godless Engineer. So if you started mistreating me as a slave, or you started like beating me or doing disgusting things to me or whatever, you know what I mean, then I would say that that's wrong. But the act of you owning me, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
Go ahead, GE.
I know you think it's
Okay,
funny, but
so
you
I
should
would
study
say
on it.
that what makes slavery immoral is that you're violating the agency of another person, and we have this modern sense of personhood, and the fact that you can't just own another person. Like this is basic, like, modern societal kind of shit, right? You can't just own another person and restrict their freedoms and restrict their right to having a choice over things. Like that's just not how shit's done anymore. That's why it's immoral. It's immoral because owning another person means that you have full control over their lives, and you just shouldn't have that kind of control over their life because you're not
Yet,
that person.
yet in our society, people are owned all the time. You know what I mean? Even you,
Oh,
college
how are
engineer,
people owned all
do
the
you have a
time in
credit
this
card?
society?
Well, there's a
Yes, I
bunch
have
of
a
different
credit
ways.
card, but I am not a
The
People
moment you
slave to
choose.
signed a
be.
mortgage,
People
the
choose
moment
to
you sign
get
a
that though,
mortgage or
G-man.
you got
You
get
don't
a
have to
credit
have a
card,
credit
Can
card.
go
we
to jail.
People
can we go back to
choose
the
to.
LGBTQ?
Yeah, we're getting ready to,
Yes, they
but
do.
we're getting ready to. But G-man, the things that you're bringing up, there's a choice in those. There's a choice to get
Yes,
a credit card. There's a
yes,
choice to get a mortgage.
yes,
There's a choice to commit a crime that lands you in jail. With
yes.
the
Yep.
slavery that we're talking about, this is something that people were kidnapped, brought over here, forced. Go ahead.
Where's that in the Bible where God allowed somebody to just kidnap somebody and make them a slave? You got to show me that one. Show me
I
that
didn't
one.
say it was in the
I
Bible.
gotta
We're
find that one.
talking about slavery.
Well, yeah, but most of the time when I'm talking to atheists about whether or not slavery is right or wrong or not, it's concerning scripture, and that's what your audience is talking about in the live chat. So if
Indentured
you're if
servitude is a different story.
well, slavery's in the Bible, and there are laws about how to own your slaves in the Bible. I know you're not trying to say that slavery in the Bible is immoral, are you? Because I would disagree with you.
I think the whole book is
I mean,
immoral. I think you can open the book up and point to a verse and it would be immoral. That's me
really?
personally. Yes.
Yeah.
So you personally believe in the Ten Commandments where it says thou shalt not steal, that's immoral.
I don't think you have to have that book to have those principles. And in
Oh,
fact,
okay.
those existed long before they were ever printed in the book. I think that, I mean, if we're just talking
I agree with
candidly
you, by
here,
the way.
that book has been the root cause of so much suffering, evil, bloodshed throughout history that I don't think there's a redeeming quality, a redeeming story, or a catchy quote that could excuse the centuries of misery that it's caused.
So let's talk about slavery in the Bible.
Sure.
Give me one Bible verse that talks about how slavery is immoral. Because I can shut down what you just said,
Is it
but
immoral
it's
to
not
beat?
worth it.
Is it immoral to beat someone as long as they don't die within 3 days?
Why don't you actually read the verse that's in question here? I talked to Matt Dillahunty about this.
Well,
Read the
tell
verse
me,
that's in question.
clear it up for me.
No, no. I'm not the one making the claim. You said that you can beat somebody until they die or whatever. So, or I'm sorry, unless they don't die.
Right.
So, read to me what you're talking about.
Is that
Tell
not
me
what it
where it
says?
is. Well, actually, I don't know. You got to show me. Where is it in the Bible?
Oh, I couldn't tell you the verse. Somebody in the chat can. I don't know the verse. I just know that it says that.
Okay, maybe somebody can give you a super chat and then tell us what verse you're talking about.
Well, they don't have to
Because I've
super
learned a
chat
long
that,
time ago
G-man.
not to help you guys when you guys make your claims. If you're going to say that this exists in the Bible, then you should be able to make your case about it
Are
too.
you
Then
saying that it does that it doesn't say that?
I'm saying that the Bible says something totally different. But if I were you, I'd just find the verse and read it so I can show you what's actually going on there.
Okay, we'll get on that. Somebody will send the verse that I'm talking about where
But let
you're
me
able
ask you
to.
this. One of the things that I noticed, Kyle, that nobody
Okay.
ever talks
Can
about
I?
Exodus chapter 1.
Yeah, I think he's
Nobody ever
got the
talks
verse.
about
I think
that.
he's got the verse real quick, G-man. Let
All
him.
right. Mm-hmm.
All right. So I've got Exodus 21, 20 through 21. Anyone
All
who
right, let me
beats
get
their
that.
male or female slave with a rod. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not muted. Slave with a rod must be punished if the slave dies as a direct result. But if they are not to be punished if the slave recovers after a day or two, since the slave is their property.
All right. So what's wrong with that?
Beating people?
You're fucking beating another person within an inch of their life and then not suffering any kind of consequences for it. That
Why
is
were they being
immoral.
beaten to the inch of their life? Okay, so it's immoral. Okay, cool.
There
So
is no
why?
reason why they
Yeah.
should be beaten
There,
within an
but
inch of their
and
life.
that's the
Okay, so
thing. There's no
let's not
stipulation.
get emotional. Let's
Oh,
not
we're
get
not.
emotional
We're
about
not.
this.
There's no
I'm not getting
Why?
emotional.
There's no stipulation for, and that's the scary thing. It doesn't put parameters on why the slave in question can be beaten or can't be beaten. It just says if you beat them and they don't die within a day or two, you're okay. So basically, you could have the wrong cereal one morning and get angry and hit your slave, and as long as they don't die, it's up. Man, here's my question to you: like, does it not bother you that you have to go through so many hoops and bend what it means to be like a human and having compassion and caring for people to where you're okay with saying um, it's the slave's fault for being beat?
Well, that was the question that I wanted to ask you because you're making a positive claim right now, and I didn't want to get emotional about it. So
Okay.
my question for you is why would a slave get beaten to begin with, since the Jews are under the Mosaic law?
We don't know. That's not important. The fact is, it doesn't say
What?
why you couldn't beat them or why you
I'm a
should beat
Christian.
them.
Okay, okay, okay. Number one, I understand you're coming from a secular worldview. You probably never read the Bible before. I'm a Christian. I have,
Right.
and if the
I read it. That's
slave
why I became
broke,
atheist.
okay, just give me a second here because I don't believe that either. Um, if a slave broke the Mosaic law, then they could be beaten. They just couldn't be killed. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but if somebody murdered somebody in Israel, they could be stoned to death. If a
Mm-hmm.
person was LGBT in the Old Testament,
Mm-hmm.
you could be stoned to death. If you broke certain laws in the Old Testament,
Mm-hmm.
you could be stoned to death.
Let me ask you a
So
question.
I think getting a
Okay,
beating, I
G
think
Man,
getting a
can I ask a
beating is a
question?
little bit less
Can
than
I
actually getting killed.
Oh, okay.
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Since, since you're a Christian who follows the Bible, do you think that
hmm
stonings should be a thing now?
Let me see something here. I think we sit people on these chairs and we strap them up to it. We put water on their head, I
We
think,
don't
and
do that
we
anymore.
electrocute them to death. Yes, we do in certain states. Then they hang certain people. Guillotines, I believe in Georgia is legal, if I'm not mistaken. Lethal
Guillotines.
injection is actually
Okay,
done today.
these are
There
very
are
different
firing
than
ranges.
like
I'm sorry. Hold on one second.
no,
There are
no, these
firing
are very
ranges
different than
for
the
the death
stonings that
penalty
you're
today.
talking about right now, okay? Because the stonings carried out in the Bible were like for mouthy kids and LGBTQ people. That's what I'm asking. Do you think
Why
a
was that wrong?
mouthy child should be stoned at the front of the city by everybody in the city?
I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but you think it's wrong. Why is it wrong?
Whoa, you don't think there's anything
What?
wrong with stoning a small child for having a bad lip?
Oh,
I
gee,
should
man.
probably I should probably say this. As a Christian, I'm appealing to the Bible when I say that something is right and wrong. What are you appealing to when you say that
Oh,
something's
you
wrong?
use that Bible as a shield,
Gee,
don't
man,
you?
this is not a good
Sorry,
look.
I
This is
got my
not a good look,
Bible. You
man.
can't touch me. Religious
God,
persecution.
God,
You went hard
Godless
on little
engineer.
kids. That's not a good look.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So, Godless engineer, that was not what I was doing. You've heard this argument a million times. I have a basis for saying that something
That's
is right and
exactly
wrong.
what you're doing.
Hold on a minute, Godless engineer. Be fair. Where is your basis to tell me that anything is right or wrong since you believe you evolved from a rock?
Oh God, let's not
Uh,
get onto the evolution
uh,
topic.
No, we're
Okay,
not on
obviously I
evolution.
have a
You're
sense of
telling me
morality.
that it's wrong.
Everybody has their own moral compasses. I do believe that we're all very subjective in our morality. I agree with that. And as a result, morality has changed over time.
right,
That's why I think it's wrong to stone people
right.
for just disobeying their parents, telling them to go fuck off, or for somebody to go and fuck whoever they want to fuck.
And let me get a word in real quick before you respond to that, G-man. Here's what I don't get. Like, you're saying that we don't have a basis for our morality when, for the most part, I think me and Godless Engineer can agree that we embrace people's differences. We don't discriminate against them because of it. We encourage those differences. We want the most good to come of people. And your basis that you're leaning on is a book full of murder, incest, rape, misogyny, homophobia, death, destruction, gloom, a psychotic deity that is just mad in his thirst for blood. Like, do you see the problem where you're leaning or hitching your star to?
I see a problem with positive claims being made and no proof being given. But regarding what Godless engineer is saying that he thinks he has a certain amount of morality, everything is subjective. I like to
Mhm.
actually talk about the claim and then talk about the reason why I believe what I believe.
Mhm.
Now, you don't believe that there's anything wrong with mouthing off to your parents, huh, Godless Engineer? Let's talk about that one for a moment, okay? First of
Wait,
Okay.
all,
when did he
when a
say
child
that?
learns to
When did he
respect,
say that?
I would like to defend myself. Both of you went, and I would like an opportunity
I
to
know I'm going
defend
to give you that,
myself.
but when did he say that he was okay with
He
mouthing
said
off?
it. He said it. He said it. He said that a child should not be stoned to death if a child mouths off to their parents. That's what he said.
See, that's
So let me
okay.
get this
Stop,
straight.
stop, 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 stop,
So
stop.
hold on.
Everybody,
But
everybody, stop.
but
You
Let
let
me get
but
this straight.
now
G-Man, you did
Me
not listen to
saying that a
him.
child,
You did not listen to him.
now
me
now
saying that a
now I would like
child
to make my
should be
case.
stoned to death. Hold
Now I
on.
would like to make my
Me,
case on why I'm right.
He's
hold on.
clarifying.
No, because you're starting off by straw manning me.
Right.
First off,
Oh,
so
really? Okay.
me thinking that it's wrong to stone a child for something that objectively and even subjectively isn't necessarily wrong. Like to not stone a child means that I agree with the child mouthing off to his parents.
Do you know what
That
do you know what
is
appealing
some
to emotion
fucked up
is?
listening skills.
Do you know what appealing to emotion is?
He's not appealing to emotion. Like
I'm
that's
Okay,
not
not
appealing to any kind of
applicable.
emotion.
so let me give you my reason
Sure.
for thinking the way I'm thinking, because
Yeah,
you
no,
obviously
you
don't
can give me your
care about
reason
what
when
it
you can
is.
restate what I actually said. Restate what I actually said.
I'm actually going to tell you my reason for why I don't believe it's wrong. I told you what you said already.
First,
If you
tell
don't
No,
believe
me
it,
no,
what I
G-Man.
actually said.
Okay,
I
everybody
need
stop.
you to
Engineer.
tell me
Everybody
what
stop,
I
stop, stop,
Godless
stop,
actually
stop.
said.
Engineer,
Everybody stop. We need to get something clear here off the get-go. Like that is not what he said. He is not equivocating the fact that you can mouth off to your parents and he's not okay with stoning them to death. He is saying that the
not what
punishment
I said.
for somebody mouthing off to their parents should not be stoning. What you said was Giles Engineer is okay with kids mouthing off to their parents. That is in no way what he said. It's not what he meant. It wasn't even close to what he was saying. He was saying that that punishment is not fitting for that action.
So anyway, let me talk about why I believe what I believe. I'll deal with that nonsense in my video response.
Okay.
You did it with Ken Hovind. Don't try that with me, Godless Engineer. All right. So the bottom line is that it tells us to honor our. In the Christian worldview, we believe in honoring our mother and honoring our father. That's how we learn how to respect people when we're children outside of the home. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, if you got a child that learns how to respect mom and dad and they walk out the house and they go to school, they're probably going to learn how to respect the authority of the people in the school.
Mhm.
Okay. And if they know how to respect mom and dad and they know how to respect the teacher, when they get a job, they're probably going to learn how to respect their boss.
Mhm.
What happens when you have a child, Godless Engineer, that doesn't respect their parents, don't respect their teachers? Let me tell you what happens. You get these kids that get these guns and they go to school and they start killing people there because they don't respect no authority. Do I believe that in the Old Testament? Let me finish. Do I believe that in the Old Testament that there was nothing wrong with that law? Yes, and you're going to love the reason why too. You believe that according to your
Kyle,
subjective morality, you believe according to your subjective morality, there's nothing wrong with it. Well, guess what? In Israel's subjective morality, they don't believe there's anything wrong with it. Now, how do we go about determining who's right and who's wrong when you have no basis for your morality?
The party that's
uh,
not stoning
Kyle,
kids, I'm going to go with that one.
Kyle, hey,
Yeah.
Kyle, hold on. You know those water slides that you see? They're sometimes like abandoned or whatnot, and they're like really high up, right? And you get people that go on those slides, and it's like a fucking bullet when they go down it,
Yeah.
and then
I
they
love those.
totally just sort of, yeah, I know, right? His slippery slope argument had less friction than those slides.
So let me get
To
this straight
say
then.
that kids
I
that
want to make sure
disrespect their parents, I'm not done yet. To say
there's
that
a lag.
kids that disrespect their parents or don't like their parents or anything like that, to say that they go on to shoot up schools and not respect people by shooting up a school is so slippery of a slope argument that it should make anybody laugh hearing it from you, man.
Your solution to mass shootings is stoning kids that backtalk.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. When cancer is found in your body, what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to rehabilitate it? Or are you supposed to get rid of it?
Wait, are you
You
saying
guys got to
that
learn how to debate.
oh, wait,
You
no,
guys got to
hold
learn
on,
how to
hold on,
debate.
hold on, hold on, hold on. Are you saying that a child that is like unruly or not well behaved, maybe has some behavior issues, that's the equivalent of cancer? They should be cut out of society?
Yes, because since we're talking about ancient
Wow.
Israel, Israel had a law. They had laws they had to follow. Okay, this nation was going to be representing God. And
Yeah.
remember what the law is. The law is that you're supposed to honor your mother and your father so they may live long in the land. If you're not doing that, then you're going against the grain, sin, according to the scriptures. Now, the Bible teaches us, especially when you get to the New Testament, that the wages of our sin, this is in Romans chapter 6, where it talks about the wages of our sin is death. This is something that you're ignoring. What you're trying to do, you want to talk about a slippery slope. I suggest, Godless Engineer, that you stop comparing societies by saying that, okay, we're going to compare ancient Israel with modern day America, which is totally unfair and stupid on your part, because number one, we have a welfare system. We have a lot of things differently today that didn't exist then. What would be smart for you to do, historically speaking, is to talk about the time that they lived in, the law that they were under, and then tell me why it was immoral then.
It
But
was
you
never
can't do
okay.
that
I
because it doesn't
So,
support your
so
atheistic agenda.
listen up here, G-Man. I don't even want to touch your whole solution for the like kids that kill other kids should just be killed again. Like I don't that's some fuckery on another level. But this whole comparing moralities across timelines here, I don't know. I mean, I feel like we can look back in our past right now and we can definitely say, well, that shit's fucked up. That's definitely not how society should be. So, you saying that I need to prove that it was wrong back then in their society to own another person doesn't mean shit right now, because what we're talking about is whether or not it's morally right fucking now to own another person. Do we live in ancient Israel there, J Man? Do we live anywhere else than the current time? Because that's what we're talking about.
where'd you
So
get
I don't know why you're trying to force us to go back into fucking Israelite times to try to
When did I
justify
say
to
that?
Israelites that don't even
When did I
fucking
say that?
exist
I,
right now
I
When
want the
that they
did
date.
I
shouldn't be
say
owning
that?
fucking people.
When did I say that?
Maybe
When
God,
did I say that?
well, you kind of straw man me earlier, so it doesn't really matter if I straw man you now. So listen, right now, in this country, in this timeline, it is wrong to own another person. And we don't need to justify it to Israelites that have been dead for thousands of years.
Yeah.
College engineer, did you finish high school? And I'm asking you this because we have a prison system and you justify the prison system every single day, dude. And it ain't just you, it's everybody watching this as well. So stop it,
How do
okay?
they do
G-Man,
Stop
that?
how
saying that
many
there's
days
no
have you
slavery
spent in
today.
prison?
Number one, godless engineer, there's
How many
economic
days have
slavery
you spent
today.
in prison?
Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute, godless engineer.
How many
There's
days have you
economic
spent in
slavery.
prison?
Godless engineer, you know you're talking to a black man, right? So anyway, I live in a very
That doesn't
racist
mean shit
country.
right now.
One
How
that's
many days have
supporting
you spent in
Godless,
slavery.
prison?
godless engineer. Listen to me. If you want to get caught up in your emotions, I'll be quiet here and let you
Are you
indoctrinate
trying
this.
to tell me that every black man has spent a few days in prison? Just every single
What
black
I'm
man in
trying to say
America has
is,
been in
what I'm
prison?
trying to say is I would like to correct a lot of your straw men. That's what I like to do, but you won't be quiet long enough. So
Let him
I'm gonna
let
sit
him
here.
let him
I'm gonna
go.
be
Go ahead,
quiet,
G-Man.
and I'm gonna let you indoctrinate.
Go ahead, G-Man.
Okay, great. So, according to Godless Engineer, slavery does not exist in America. I want to make sure that the Hebrew Israelites know this, that Godless Engineer, not me, said that slavery does not exist in America. There is no economic
When
slavery,
did I
guys, for
fucking
those who
say
are
that
watching this.
right now?
Wait a minute, Godless Engineer. There's no economic slavery. Prison certainly isn't slavery. When you sign a contract, you're not signing away your autonomy. Godless Engineer has a GED and doesn't know what he's talking about. Getting back to the adult conversation here. Godless
I have a
Engineer,
GED, motherfucker. There's
godless,
video of me
godless,
graduating with my second
godless,
engineering degree. I don't
godless,
know what the
godless
fuck you're
engineer,
on right now.
godless engineer. Besides appealing to emotion, which you did a great job doing today, you have not given me a logical, rational reason why it is wrong for a human being or an animal to own another human being. You haven't been able to do it. All I've been listening
Actually, I
to,
have given you
all I've been
plenty.
listening
I've
to
given
is
you plenty of
outdated,
reasons. Just because
prehistoric.
you just want to ride them off
Okay,
being fucking emotional
I'm
doesn't
not done.
mean that
I
I'm
didn't
wrong
interrupt
or
you.
anything.
I did not interrupt you. I did not
chill.
interrupt you.
People can't hear when we're all talking over
Oh,
each
yeah,
other.
but you
Yeah, he's over talking me
successfully
right now,
derailed this
and
entire
he gets
fucking
mad when I do it.
conversation.
Well,
So please
that's
excuse
So
me
anyway,
for talking over you a little bit.
so
yeah.
here's the thing, Godless Engineer. Why is it wrong? Adult conversation now. Why is it wrong for a human being to own another human being? And what is your basis for your claim?
Basic fucking morality and shit. Like the basic human rights. That's my basis for it. I mean, this
You heard that,
yeah,
Christian?
now
Basic
he's
human rights.
laughing.
That's his morality. Hey, guys, you heard him. His basis for his morality is basic human rights.
Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
I didn't
What
say
is
that.
your
You'll be laughed at later by your own atheist community.
What is your argument that there is nothing wrong with owning another person? Would you want to be
Okay,
owned?
as the example, I don't have a problem with it. Kyle, you can literally own me right now. Now stop there.
I think I've been
There's
doing
nothing
a
wrong.
fine job of that already all night. I don't think we need to-
Kyle, listen, Kyle, I'm being serious. Look,
Okay.
you can actually physically own me as your property,
Okay.
and there's nothing wrong with that. The problem that people, we as human beings have with the whole owning process is, what do you do with the person after you own them?
Okay.
Okay.
Let
Now that's the thing that you guys are alluding. You
No,
don't talk about that.
No. I'm getting ready to talk about that. Let me ask you some questions on that. Okay. So you think it becomes wrong when somebody that owns somebody else uses that in a way, let's say beats them, like makes them do things that they don't. Okay. So if I own you and we are hanging out like in the kitchen or whatever, and um, you like say, I'd like to have a blueberry muffin today, and I have this whole thing of blueberry muffins or whatever, and I'm like, no, you can't have any blueberry muffins. In fact, I'm going to tell you when you can eat today, like what hours you can eat. And then here's what I need done in terms of errands. And then once that's finished, you can eat. Because you don't have the ability to choose what you do when, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That kind of sounds like my parents. I don't know. You know, I did have parents that told me when I could eat and when I couldn't eat, when I had to go to bed and when I could wake
Well, that's
up.
because
I mean, I
you're
had
being
parents. That's
raised.
what that sounds like.
That's because you're being
Yeah,
raised.
but
though.
that's what you just described. You just described me being raised.
No, I don't have a relationship with you like parent to child. I own you by some virtue of signing a piece of paper. Yet I'm able to tell you when you can do that. You don't have freedom. What is inherently not wrong with that?
Well, when I'm at work and my boss tells me I can't go on break for 4 hours,
He's
he's telling
paying
me
you.
when I.
You have the
Just let me
ability to
finish.
leave.
Let me finish. Let me finish. You're
Okay.
being emotional again.
I'm very
Okay.
emotional.
The bottom
Everybody knows
line
this.
is, yeah, I understand that. So if my boss can tell me when I can come and when I can go,
Mhm.
if my parents can tell me who are not paying me, I can come and go whenever they want. There's nothing wrong with that. No one's writing books talking about how it's immoral for a person to tell you when to take a break and when not to take a break.
Okay.
That's a bad argument.
Sure. No, it's not. Here's why it's not. Because if you are employed, your boss is giving you money in exchange for your services. And so you have the ability to say, "Oh, I can't take a break then? Fuck you. I'm out. I'm quitting." You have that ability. You don't have that ability when somebody owns your freedom.
Are you aware during the transatlantic slave trade, when the slaves came over here to America, they took breaks when they wanted to take breaks? Did you know that?
I fail to see how that's relevant.
Well, it's very relevant because you're trying to make the argument that if a person tells you to do something, you know what I mean, or tells you that you can and can't do something, that's
No.
somehow bad.
No, it hinges on the freedom aspect. Like when slaves took a break, that has nothing to do with it. Like the amount of work that they were being forced to do, I think pretty much offsets the ability to choose when you can take a break. And if I'm not mistaken, there would often be really bad beatings for slaves that weren't like producing enough. They were lagging, but that's neither here nor there. The issue is the freedom aspect. It's not somebody. It's not like the ability to choose when you do what. It's the fact that I have no control of getting out of this situation. Even with parents and kids, when they tell you like what to do, you have the ability to run away. You can leave. You can exit that situation. You can exit that situation as an employee. You can't do that as a slave. They have total control over you.
Okay, and what's wrong with
So,
that?
G-Man,
What's
what's
wrong with a
your
person having total control
citation
over you?
for slaves being able to take breaks?
Well, before I get to that, I would like to know what is wrong with a person telling me what to do and when I can go and when I can't go. What's wrong with that?
Because we
He's
are
violating your
yeah.
agency.
Yeah, we are all
Do you
equal.
have a job, godless engineer? Godless engineer? You have a job?
You know, with how shitty you've
Do
been
you have
tonight, I don't know if I
parents?
want to answer that
Do
question.
you have parents? Well, I'll tell you what. Let's assume you have a job.
Or does he have
Let's
parents?
assume you have parents.
He
Oh,
has
and by the
parents.
way, godless engineer,
I can
I'm sure
confirm.
YouTube tells you what you can and can't do all the time. I'm pretty sure of it. I see
I
you
know.
guys
I
complaining
post
about it
whatever I
all the
want
time.
to as long as it's not tips.
But he can leave. He can
Yeah,
leave
we have something
YouTube.
called where he can leave, but while he's on YouTube, he's
Yeah.
under the rulership and
Yes.
jurisdiction of YouTube. Now
Yes,
here's the
it's not the
thing. There
Wild
are
West.
levels. See, this is the thing. The
You
only
agree
person
to
here that
terms
should
and
be
services,
emotional,
dipshit.
the only person
Whatever.
the only person that should be emotional about the slavery issue is me as a black man. And
I
I'm
know.
not surprised that
I
I know
agree.
more about it. I'm not surprised that I actually know more about this topic than you two combined, because neither one of you know what you're talking
I
about regarding
agree.
this
You
topic.
should be more emotional about this. I don't.
You're
It
right, and
baffles
I'm
my
not,
mind
because
that you're
saying
not.
anything.
You're
not saying
advocating
anything
for
that
it.
the average black man. You're not saying anything that the average black man would have an issue with.
So you're saying that people
Okay.
would not have an issue with the fact that somebody controls their freedom?
No, I don't have a problem with nobody controlling my freedom. I got people controlling my freedom every single day. It's called the president, the Congress. It's called the judicial
Can you
system.
move?
It's called the laws of the land. Hold on a minute. It's called the laws of the land. It's called society.
Yeah.
All of us are controlled to a certain degree.
You see this. You see the
by
difference,
somebody.
though. You see the difference. The examples that you're bringing up in those controlled scenarios, you have the ability to leave. You can leave the country if you don't like the president. You can not open a credit card if you don't want to get involved in that. You have the option to default on the credit card. You have the option to default on a
That's in
mortgage.
America. That's in America, but you got a problem with things that happen in the Bible. And when we start getting into indentured servitude and people going into slavery for different reasons, which I noticed that you guys got away from, because I don't think either one of you know what the Bible actually says on the topic. All right, both of you got away from that. You're talking about America today. As far as America goes, I don't got an issue in America or Israel.
G-Man, you brought up the
Let me
examples
finish.
that how we were
Let me
enslaved
finish.
today. Not me.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Let me finish. I don't got an issue with people owning people in America or people owning people in Israel. I don't got a problem with that. The reason why, because there's nothing wrong with it in of itself, and neither one of you have been able to prove that. Okay. Now, if you want to talk about why the Bible is immoral for having slavery in there, I am dying to hear your argument, because I brought up Exodus chapter 1, and I noticed that practically no atheist talks about that. Do you know what Exodus chapter 1 says?
I do not. Fill us in.
Exodus chapter 1 teaches that Pharaoh, the person that you guys never say anything negative about, I notice, okay, that Pharaoh enslaved the Israelites because their numbers became, that their numbers became too great, and they enslaved them. And then what they did was they was going to take their firstborn males. Let me finish. Hold on a minute. They took their firstborn. They was going to take their firstborn males, and they was going to throw them into the Nile River to drown them. You know, a sort of an abortion type thing. You know what I mean?
No.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Pharaoh was the one that ordered that. God had nothing to do with that. Why is it that guys talk about Pharaoh? I'm just curious.
Because I don't know if that's a true story. Number one, number two, that's not an abortion thing. Like the child is actually born. Like, you see the difference, right?
Hold on. I agree with Kyle. The whole tossing the children into the water thing, that was not abortion. Okay, So you're just being ridiculous with that particular thing, but you're also pretty fucking wrong about how the Israelites became slaves to the Egyptians. Because if you actually read the fucking Bible on occasion, you would know that the Israelites, they gave themselves over to slavery because of this massive famine going on. And who was it? Jacob with the multicolored fucking jacket thing? He got sold into slavery to the Egyptians. And then Pharaoh found favor in him, put him in power to control all the grains and shit. He had the foresight to stow away a whole bunch of grains. And then the Israelites came back a begging, and then he magically revealed that he is the son of Israel. He's the son of Israel, and so then the Israelites sold themselves into to the Egyptians because of the famine that was going on. And that existed for about 400 years or so until Moses reared his fucking little head. And that's when Pharaoh was like, kill all the little Jewish kiddies. And then and then the story kind of goes on from there. So, I mean, that is how the Israelites became slaves to the Egyptians. Not that the Egyptians took over the Israelites.
Two.
Wait a minute. So Kyle, I got a question for you, Kyle.
Hold on 1 second. Let me just add this because
Yeah.
you brought up the thing
Yeah.
about throwing the babies over in the Nile. Wasn't part
Yeah.
of the way that they broke these bondages of slavery was that God took their firstborn?
Well, first, let me address what Godless Engineer just said
Okay.
by asking you this question. Do you agree with everything that Godless Engineer just said, Kyle? I want
Well,
that. I want that live on air, and I want to hear you say yes or no. Do you agree with what
Well, I
Godless?
hate to.
Because we're gonna have you for dinner,
I hate to
Godless, later.
I hate to
So
disappoint you, G-Man,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I can be completely honest and say that I don't know that story well enough to speak on whether or not I would assume, here's what I say, I would assume that there's no reason why. He's pretty good about his biblical knowledge. So don't see any reason why he would just make shit up. But I don't know that story through and through to be able to say.
Okay,
We've
so
read all
Kyle,
the way through Exodus. It's on my channel. You can go and find it. We've got podcasts where we go through it, and that is the
Yeah,
actual
he's
story.
he's pretty good about.
How
okay,
the Israelites became slaves to the Egyptians.
What was wrong with it, G-Man?
okay.
What did he say that was incorrect?
Okay, so number one, Godless Engineer is an idiot because Godless Engineer said that the Israelites willfully became the slaves to the Egyptians. Now, tell me you didn't say that, Godless Engineer.
No, because they
You say
did.
you read Exodus 1. Okay, so if
Yeah,
I
I
actually
did.
read Exodus chapter 1 right now,
Right.
and it says something different, are you man enough to admit that you were wrong? Now, remember, you said you read it on your channel.
No,
Remember, you said that.
I did.
Okay, so
I did,
how
and
about
no amount of contradictions that you bring up in your Bible there is
contradiction?
gonna prove me wrong.
I would like
Because
to read what
Exodus
happened. I
didn't
like to
Go
fucking
ahead and read it.
happen.
Go ahead and read it. Go ahead and read it.
I like to read what happened.
Go
See,
ahead.
here's the thing, Godless Engineer. I know you're afraid of the truth because you don't like to let people talk, dude. But it's all right. All right. That's why you don't want. That's why you didn't want to go on modern day debate. That's the truth. All right. Anyway, Exodus chapter 1, verse 8. Now there arose a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph, and he said unto his people, behold, the
Joseph.
people of the children of Israel are more mightier than we. Come, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth any war, they join also our enemies and and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasures, cities, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted
Yeah,
them, the more they multiplied, and they grew.
hold on.
Wait a minute,
They
I'm
were
not
already
done,
slaves.
Godless Engineer. I'm not finished. Godless Engineer, I'm not
G,
finished. They
G,
were
just
not
just
Yeah,
let
already
him
you're
slaves. The
just
just let
getting
reason
an
him
why,
emotional argument here.
just let him
just
go, and then
just
you can.
let me finish, okay? They were not slaves there. They lived there because Joseph wanted his family there because of the famine. They became slaves when they appointed taskmasters over them. Dude, you don't know what you're talking about.
Hmm.
Okay, you criticize the scriptures based on a website called evilbible.com. Okay, you don't criticize the Bible because you've actually read it.
I don't
You don't
think,
know what you're talking about, dude.
G-Man,
No,
I don't think
Exodus
that
chapter
those
wait,
1.
wait.
verses mean what you think they mean.
That's not what I used. I mean, I
Well, you know
used
what?
this
Well,
motherfucker
you want to
right
know what,
here.
Kyle?
I
I have no
read
problem
directly
using that
out of this
argument.
goddamn Bible right here what it actually
Kyle, I
says,
have
and
no
you're just
problem.
fucking wrong. Because
Hold on,
prior to
G-Man.
that, they were
Let him
already
respond. Let
slaves.
Kyle Century
And
respond.
that's why no Christian is going to agree with you, and you're going to get destroyed later. But go ahead.
That's
No
fine.
Christian's going to agree with you.
That's fine.
Go ahead.
I don't expect the Christians to agree with me.
I just
Let
fucking
Godless
read the
Engineer
Bible.
respond.
It's not my fault, G-Man.
Okay, so I would like to address another issue that was said here.
Okay.
Earlier, Kyle, you said that my Bible has all of this evil that's in it.
Right.
You said that gays are stoned in it, that
Right.
it's a psychotic person in here called the deity or whatever that was
God.
doing all this evil in here. That's me paraphrasing what you said and whatnot, right?
That'd be
And you
God.
said that when you read this book, you see all this evil that goes on.
Mhm.
Do you identify as an atheist, yes or no?
I'm an anti-theist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you believe that a God exists, yes or no?
I don't know if God exists. I know that I can
Okay, so
pretty
you're an
much I
atheist.
can confidently say that the God of the Bible doesn't exist because
I'm
that guy's a
pretty sure I've heard you. I'm pretty sure I heard you say you're an atheist, and Godless Engineer say you're an atheist. Now
I am an
you
atheist.
got
I am
finished
an
criticizing.
anti-theist. I am an atheist.
Okay, great,
Yeah.
great. So I've heard you criticize the Bible, and you said all these evil things are,
Right.
even though you don't got a basis for it or whatever.
Right.
Tell me something. How do you feel about all those religious people getting killed in communist Russia
I didn't like
under
it.
Joseph
I don't
Stalin?
look. I don't like. Here's the thing. I don't like
Then there's Adolf Hitler.
anyone.
Then there's Powell. Then
Can
there's
I
Mao. There's
respond?
a whole bunch of
Can I
other people.
respond to you, man?
Hitler
Yeah,
was
sure. Go ahead.
Hold on,
Catholic.
Go ahead.
hold on. Listen,
Hitler was an atheist.
I've
Go
been
ahead.
I've tried to be
Hitler
very
was
fair
Christian.
to you. Let me respond. I don't like it when this is not a team thing where it's us versus you guys on the level that I think you think. I don't like it when anyone is killed. What I don't like in the religious community, I don't like the religious types that use that book as a form of control, as a form to look at people who are different than they are and say, you're different. We don't like that. Step back in line. Now, there are plenty of religious people that believe in God, that follow the good parts that they pull from that book, and they don't try to dictate to other people how to live their life because they're different. Those people, I'm fine with. I'm absolutely fine with. It's the religious people that try. The ones that say it's okay to stone kids, the ones that say it's okay to own people that just because I choose to love somebody of the same sex, I am less deserving of uh, eternal heaven and such. I deserve to burn, or just because of the lack of belief that I have. That's what I have a problem with. So when there are
Okay,
a bunch of
Kyle.
Christians that get killed in Russia, I don't like it at all.
Kyle. I would like for you to let me know the pastor's names so I can rebuke them. Give me all the churches and the pastors' names that teach that you should stone your children. I like to know who they are. Who are they? Just tell me their names.
What's your name?
Matt Powell, Stephen Anderson.
Okay, Matt Powell. Okay, Stephen Anderson, even though he
I'm
never said that. Okay, hold on. Steve Anderson, he never said
What,
that though, but go ahead.
hold on.
Who
What's your
else?
name?
Matt Powell, Steve Anderson.
G-Man.
Oh, G-Man said it too?
G-Man.
Okay, G-Man. I'm not a pastor, but go ahead. And I never said that. So anyway, go ahead.
Um,
Come on.
You seem to be fine with stoning kids that are disruptive or whatever.
Ben the
Let me
Baptist,
let,
that
let me
douchebag.
ask you a question, Kyle, because I've been
Yeah.
talking to Godless for a minute now. Let me talk to you a minute.
Sure.
Do you know the difference between Judaism and Christianity?
Yes.
Okay,
Christians,
can you please tell me what
God,
Judaism
Jesus.
is and what Christianity is?
Judaism stops with the Old Testament, and Christianity goes to the New Testament with Jesus and such.
Right. Can you show me the verse here? I got my Bible here. Because I'm you know what, I totally agree with you. I'm a totally bad person. But that's got to make sure Jesus said this. Where did Jesus say to stone little kids? Anything like that in the New Testament? Show me where Jesus said that. Or one of the apostles. Anybody.
I don't think he
Show me where it
he
says that.
well actually Jesus said some conflicting things because he said he didn't come to what was the wording that he used? He didn't come to
You
change the
said that
law,
Jesus,
and then there
you
was
said
one
that
where he
we
said he
Christians,
came to fulfill the law.
you said that we Christians
Yeah.
believe in stoning kids. Where did
No,
Jesus say that? Since you
I
know the
didn't say
difference between
that. I
Judaism
didn't
and
say that.
Christianity.
I didn't say that.
Okay,
So
so then
hold on, pause. Pause.
Wait a minute. I'm talking to
Matthew
Kyle. I'm talking to Kyle.
Hold on. You asked a
I'm
question.
talking
Let
to
me
Kyle.
fucking answer it for a second.
I'm talking
He's
to
gonna read a
Kyle
verse.
right now. I want
He's
to
gonna
finish
read a
talking to
verse.
Kyle.
I don't. I'm in this call too. I'm giving you the
Go
verse
ahead,
that you
Godless.
asked
Make
for.
yourself look like a bigger fool. I'm talking to Kyle.
Read the
Go ahead.
verse. Just read the verse.
Go ahead.
Oh, God.
Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them.
Right.
What does it mean to fulfill them, Godless engineer? Christians, I hope you're taking notes. What does it mean to fulfill it? The Hebrew Israelites can't even answer that. I know
to
you
accomplish.
Can't. So go ahead.
To achieve.
To accomplish what? To accomplish what?
The law.
So the Old Testament predict. Hold on. Are you gonna let me tell you?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Tell me.
Are
Go
you
to
trying
Google.
to
It'll
escape
help you.
your
Go ahead.
room?
Go to Google. Go ahead.
No. So what Jesus meant by fulfilling to fulfill the law and everything is to fulfill what the prophets said that he would come to do, being that he would suffer and die for people's sins and then go back up into heaven and cleanse them and all of that. But it doesn't say that the law will be changed.
That I believe in stoning little kids.
You said it
You
earlier.
need to read
Because
your
Jesus
Bible
said
and
to
stop
keep
putting
the
words in my
Hold
mouth.
on. Okay.
You
Okay.
illiterate fool.
G-Man,
Anyway, go ahead,
G-Man,
Kyle.
G-Man, did you not say
I like how you said
earlier?
that I'm the illiterate fool,
You
but
just
I was
got
able
owned,
to give
son.
you
Go
the.
ahead,
That's 'cause
go
you're
ahead,
winning.
Kyle. You just got owned, son. Go ahead, Kyle.
Just let me
You
ask
walked
this.
right into that, dude.
Did you say earlier that there's nothing wrong, or that if a kid is acting up, it's like a cancer and they should be cut out?
I said that in reference to ancient Israel. Yes, I said that in as far as
And that's what I'm
as far as
talking
in
about.
reference to the Old Testament law.
That's what I'm
But you
talking
guys keep comparing it. Wait a minute,
No,
hold on a minute.
hold on. I have to push back on that. Hold on. I got to push back on that right now because, I mean, yeah, we were talking about Old Testament law and everything, but then you tied it to mass shootings here. So no, you were not talking about mass shootings in Israel back in the second or third century BCE. You're talking about it now. You literally connected it to kids being like little shits and going and killing kids in school. So there's no way that you could say that you were contextually talking about it back in the Israelite society.
Hey, Godless engineer, you had a great career in YouTube while it lasted, dude. You had a great career, but you're gonna look like an idiot.
Matt Powell,
Go ahead, Kyle.
Matt Powell still to this day advocates for that.
Okay, so regarding Christianity, okay,
Right.
because you have people that believe that Old Testament law should be practiced today.
Sure.
You ain't never gonna hear me quoting that. So according to Godless engineer, the guy who keeps interrupting me all the time, he said that I never started off with talking about ancient Israel and dealing with what happened then. I gave you a practical modern day example of what happens when children don't honor their father and their mother today, and what they end up growing up into. We call them criminals. Apparently, you never taught that.
But we don't.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, but we don't stone kids today, right?
Wait a minute. That's why a lot of times when Christians come on shows like this, we're always taken out of context because you guys don't allow us to finish anything or to finish a statement or to do anything like that. The bottom line is this. I gave you an example. I showed you what the Bible said about honoring your mother and your father so you may live long in the land. If you broke the law, you were stoned to death. Period. Okay, that was ancient Israel. You can't tell me that morality is subjective, Godless engineer, and tell me it's according to someone's opinion, and then turn around and say that your opinion is somehow greater than theirs. It doesn't work that way, especially when you don't have a moral basis to make that statement. Number two, I did connect the dots regarding ancient Israel and today. If you have a child today that doesn't know how to respect their parents, they're not going to respect their teachers, and if they don't respect their teachers and people in authority, what's ultimately going to end up happening is they're going to be a problem in society. They're going to be criminals. And let me tell you something. You got a lot of atheists on YouTube who don't respect their parents, who cuss them out all the time, and then get on YouTube and then think they can talk to other adults that way and believe nothing is going to happen to them.
Well, there's a lot of Christians that do that too, so it's on both sides of the fence. But let me ask you this: why did it change? So if this morality was set for this ancient Israelites, why did it evolve to where now we couldn't fathom stoning a kid? Where did it change?
Well, if you go to Galatians, I believe it's 3:24. Let me show you something here. In Galatians chapter 3, this is one of the verses I wanted to read earlier when we were talking about when we was going to bring this up about morality.
Okay.
In Galatians 3, verse 24, it says, "Wherefore the law was our schoolmaster to bring us unto Christ, that we may be justified by faith."
Mhm.
The whole purpose of the law was to show us that we were sinners. Okay? And the Bible says that all of us, to some degree or another, are sinful. We have broken this law that is mentioned in the scriptures. And it teaches us that we need a redeemer, that we need a Messiah to save us from our sins. Again, you have to know the difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament. Actually, I recommend you actually read this. Stop acting like you guys have when I know you haven't.
I did read it. That's why I became an atheist. But
No, that's not why you became an atheist. Nobody becomes an atheist by reading the Bible. It's a dumb argument.
oh, I promise
Yeah,
you.
yeah, they do.
But
They
why
do,
does
really? Did you become an atheist by reading the Bible?
I did.
Yes,
Well, yeah, my wife KC, she did.
yes, I did.
Can I please hear a 5-minute story on how that happened?
Yes, I'll tell you right now. I was at a youth group one night. I was super religious till I was 25 years old. And when we were leaving youth group, there were a couple of my friends that were there. They were laughing at a YouTube video. And I went over and I looked at the YouTube video, and it happened to be Aaron Ra and Matt Dillahunty on the Atheist Experience. They were discussing this very thing, slavery in the Bible. And I remember looking at that video going, they are making this up. It is not in the Bible. It doesn't say that, because I had went 25 years and never heard any of what they were describing. None of it. I then, when I got home, I turned on that YouTube video and I watched it, and I turned to the verses that they were quoting. It said that. And then from that point on, I went down the rabbit hole. I remember watching these videos about Jephthah and the general's daughter making a bet with God that whoever came through the door first, if God helped them win the war, he would kill. He killed her daughter. You don't hear about these things on the pulpit on Sunday. And so I had always been taught the good parts of the Bible, but when you actually go in and you read the filler, the stuff that doesn't get talked about on the pulpits on Sunday, you will absolutely become an atheist. You're muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so my response to that is number one, that's not true. These things are talked about in the pulpit. And for those of you who are watching this, go to sermonaudio.com.
I'm just talking about me,
slavery in the
GMan.
Bible
Me
or
personally.
anything like that. Just
Me
hold on a
personally.
minute. Just hold on 1 minute, or you can type it on YouTube and you'll see a ton of us Christians talking about this topic. So that's number one. And number two, this is the interesting thing about this. If you are denying the God of the Bible, that doesn't make you an atheist.
Oh, yeah?
How does reading this make you an atheist?
It makes me
If you
knowledgeable.
deny the God of the
You
hold
want
on
to
a
answer
minute.
that?
If
Or are
you
you just
deny,
gonna
hold
keep
on a
on
minute.
talking?
Wait a minute. I like to finish. I know you guys like to listen to yourselves talk.
Then
but
don't
I like
ask
to
a
actually say
question in the
something.
middle of your fucking diatribe.
So here's the thing now, okay? This guy in his testimony, he said he read some horrible things in here, and that automatically meant that God didn't exist. Remember that now, guys. God did some things in here he disagrees with, therefore he ain't real.
That's not
Y'all
what it
already
said.
know y'all already know how I feel about that.
Let me clarify.
That's number one.
Yeah,
Hold
that's
on.
not
I'm
what
going to
he
stop you.
said, nor anybody.
Stop.
How do you
Stop.
talk about
Stop.
paganism,
You
Islam,
totally,
Hinduism, Buddhism, and
G-Man,
all these
I
other
don't want to pull out the
religions?
mute button, but listen, you totally misconstrued what I said. I did not say that had any leaning on why I didn't believe in God. I said that reading it will turn you into an atheist, because when you take the totality of the parts that you are not used to seeing, the bad parts, the misery, the things that don't make sense, the contradictions, all of that, you can't walk away after reading that entire book going, yeah, this makes sense. This fits. This is solid, logical, and rational. You just can't do it.
Well, I
So
did
if
it
I
multiple
can,
times.
if I,
And then number two, you rejecting the God of the Bible doesn't make you an atheist. It makes you anti-Christian. I hope you know that.
no, it doesn't make
Atheists
you
don't believe in
anti-Christian.
no God.
But if I can answer,
It makes you
if I can
anti-Christian.
answer
It
real
doesn't make
quick.
you atheist.
So basically, as far as I know, as I've experienced and experienced in talking to people, How it usually goes is that they have this deeply held belief in a God, specifically the Christian God. And then they start reading all this bad shit in the Bible, like in the Old Testament, where God tells the Israelites to go and kill all of the little babies and all of the little kids and all of the women and all the men in these cities. They literally, God literally has Israelites shoving swords through a baby's chest in the Bible. They read about these horrible things that happen and they're like, well, shit, I was never taught this stuff in Sunday school. Well, I never, what else is in here? And then they read the other bad shit that they're not taught in Sunday school, right? And so then they're not convinced anymore that this particular God exists. And so generally, they are then without a God belief, and they can either search out another God belief or they cannot. So it's not that they are saying God definitely doesn't exist. They're just saying that they don't believe in a God anymore. And until you can provide good evidence to make them to believe in a God, regardless of what God that is, they just simply don't believe in a God. It doesn't mean that they're saying, oh, God definitely doesn't exist or anything like that. It's just, I'm not convinced that God is even there anymore. That's all it is. But you're misconstruing the entire conversation to them thinking that, oh, well, since the Bible's wrong about shit, that means that God definitely doesn't exist in any kind of form whatsoever. And I automatically know everything about every religion out there to where I know that they're not real. So, I mean, that's what you're misconstruing the entire conversation about. You don't know how people actually fall out of the faith, yet you're trying to put yourself in that position.
Okay, so I would like to speak for 2 minutes without being interrupted, if you don't mind. Okay, so, and I'm serious, godless
Sure.
engineer. I don't know if that's too difficult for you, dude, but shut up long enough and let me talk, okay? Listen to me very carefully here, okay? Because you didn't get this. Kyle said he read the Bible and became a atheist. Let's define what a atheist is. A means to be without.
Mm-hmm.
Theist means theism.
Mm-hmm.
They are without theism, without a belief in a God. You cannot just read the Bible and rule out the existence of all gods. Okay? That
Oh boy.
basically,
I
when
see what
you
you're doing
do
now.
something like that, godless engineer, when you do something like that, godless engineer, you show that you don't even know what the heck an atheist is. An atheist is somebody who doesn't believe in any gods. You said that you read this book here and you don't believe in any. Guess what worldview holds that position? Christians. We only believe that there's only one God. And if you stop believing in that one God, then you would be that.
To-
You understand? So you're
G-Man,
holding a Christian view right now. You don't even know it.
So,
The
G-Man,
bottom line is you're not an
so,
atheist.
like,
You're
let me let me
anti-Christian.
let me
do
defend
you
my
do you
position
think that it just
on that real.
automatically switches
You
to
guys
another
sound like
default religion?
G-Man,
children
It's like,
talking about this stuff.
G-Man, do you think that if at the end of me reading the Bible, I'm going to go, okay, well, one of the most popular religions in the world that my family has followed for countless generations, this I don't believe is true. So, looking around at the amazing selection of various religions, you have one in which a prophet had a relationship with a 9-year-old girl, rode a horse into the sky, cleaved the moon in half, came back down, and is a very violent organization. That one doesn't appeal to me too much. I can't sit still too long, so I can't look at Buddhism because they meditate a lot. Like, do you think that I'm just going to go God shopping, like when I get done with the book, or do you think that I'm going to look at that book and go, okay,
obviously,
if
Kyle, as soon as you become atheist, you got to visit a Walmart and you got to go to the religion section. It's like, nah,
we
Buddha's
all
too
know
fat.
me and Walmart?
Well, here's the thing. Do you guys know what an ad hominem is?
No, what is that?
Ad hominem is when you attack me as a person and not my argument.
When did I
How
attack you?
about you attack my hold on, time out. Attack
What did we say
my
that was attacking your person?
wait a minute. Time out. Attack
Point out
my
the ad hominem.
hold on a minute. Attack my argument I'm waiting to hear why you're not an atheist. Hey, Kyle, I'd like to ask you a question, Kyle.
Yeah.
How do you know that the pagan god Gaia doesn't exist?
Gaia is a fruit juice that exists in the.
According to pagans, Gaia would be the earth.
Oh, the Earth does
And
exist.
Well, no,
Wait a minute,
Gaia would be
wait a minute.
supernatural, like
Let me clarify my
spiritual
argument.
type of,
Let me
Okay.
clarify my
theistic
argument.
God.
You're laughing again. You're doing
Okay.
ad homs again.
I
Let me
can't.
clarify my
Go
argument.
ahead.
How are
Pagans
we
believe that
ad-homing?
the earth.
Why not the ad-hom?
Pagans believe what?
I'm
You've
trying to
been
clarify my
ad-homing this
argument.
entire time. If laughing is ad-homing.
So we're not
Pagans-
taking this seriously no more.
Pagans
Godless
believe
engineer,
what?
right? Because I control way
I haven't
better than
taken
you
it
do.
seriously since you
I'm
put on
I
a
sure.
fucking
control
glass.
way
Okay.
better
All right.
than you.
Listen. All right,
You want to
everybody.
see it?
Everybody,
I control better than you.
listen. What were you saying that pagans believe?
Pagans believe that the earth is, and by the way, I want to say this, Kyle. If
Okay.
Godless Engineer does that again, I'm not taking this conversation seriously no more. He shouldn't even be in here. I agreed to talk to you.
He's my
not this
co-host
fool.
every Saturday.
He's well,
Every
Godless Engineer is
Saturday
an
night,
idiot.
I'm
This
on
guy
here
has
with
no
Kyle.
education.
Deal with
Godless
it,
Engineer,
motherfucker.
Godless Engineer is an idiot. He's never read the Bible. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Well,
So the
I think
bottom
that
line
may
is
be.
I
that
read it
pagans,
every week on my channel.
Okay. Mhm.
pagans believe that the earth is God.
Okay.
Actually, they believe in multiple gods.
Okay.
They also believe in other religions, because some religions refer to the earth as Gaia, some of them refer to it as Demeter.
Mhm.
But the point of the matter is they refer to it as a god.
Okay.
How do you know that the earth is not a god according to their definition?
I don't know that it's not a god, but I know that the Earth exists. I think what you're ultimately getting at is how am I to say that Allah doesn't exist or Odin doesn't exist? And the answer for that is the same for the God of the Bible and all these other ones. I don't have a basis set in reality to believe that any of them exist. And let me go to the Bible because I know what you're going to do. You're going to say, "How did you read the Bible and you come to this conclusion about all gods?" Okay, when I
That's not
saw
what I'm going to
those
say.
when I saw those things in the Bible that brought the doubt in, where you had these examples of clear just rage, misogyny, slavery, all this stuff, that puts a dent in your perfect veil that you look through the Bible through. So I was able to honestly and objectively look through the Bible and say, okay, let's start with the Garden of Eden, right at the very beginning. Adam and Eve, right? I'm going to assume that the earth is the same size now as it was when Adam and Eve were here, okay? If God had a tree that he did not want Adam and Eve to eat of, why did he put it in the exact spot where the only two inhabitants on the planet were? Why didn't he put it on the other side of the planet where they could never
easy.
touch it?
That's easy. To demonstrate their love. God didn't create robots. I believe in free will, and I believe that God gave Adam and Eve free will with the capacity to obey him, but also with the capacity to disobey him.
Okay.
Adam and Eve made a willful. Let me answer your question.
Sure.
Adam and Eve made a willful decision to disobey God, and I believe that the reason why God put that tree there was to be proof to the angels, as proof that Adam and Eve loved God every time they obeyed him. And there's a verse in the Bible in 1 John, I believe it's 1 John chapter 5, verse 3, it says, "For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments aren't grievous." The way we demonstrate our love to God is by being obedient to him. Now, if you got a problem with that, then don't have kids.
Hold on. Let's stick with me here. Okay, so in your belief or your worldview, does God know everything that's going to happen before it happens?
Are you serious? You're going to use that dumb argument with me? Really?
No, just follow me.
He does know everything.
Okay,
yes.
so
According
he
to the
knew.
definition of Scripture.
So he knew what Adam and Eve were going to do. How does that demonstrate?
Yes, he does.
Okay, so he knew what he was doing. He knew what would happen.
Yep.
Why did he do it?
Hold on, doesn't that make God like the biggest dipshit
See, now you guys are opening the door for the
in reality? Because he was like, "Hey, angels, check this out. Look, I'm gonna put this tree right here, and they're gonna obey me." But
what is he?
Then they're just gonna fuck it up. So
let me ask you something, Kyle. Kyle, let me ask you a question. Do you believe that insulting people is moral?
I haven't heard.
Yes, you do. Richard Dawkins said, "Mock them." Well, just hold on a minute. Richard Dawkins said, "Mock them, ridicule them in public."
First of all, Richard Dawkins is not my leader. Like I don't have to follow.
Just hold on a minute.
Okay.
Godless Engineer seems to be your comic relief. I'm trying to have a serious conversation with you about my faith and what I believe. And Godless Engineer keeps making jokes. But listen, I don't have a problem with that, but play fair. Because when I start doing it, I don't want to hear it.
Okay.
I don't want to hear it when I start doing it.
Okay. You got it. Now,
Okay.
now answer my
I know,
question.
I,
Now
I know
answer my
people are
question.
touchy-feely.
Answer
I
my
know
question.
people are touchy-feely about Jade and some other things and whatnot, but if Godless Engineer does that one more time, I'm going to take it to another level because I don't think that's funny, Godless. I'm telling you that right now. So anyway, so God is not an idiot for doing that.
But why did he do it?
God created Adam and Eve with the capacity to obey or disobey him.
Mhm.
They had free will. Okay. God also knew that if Adam and Eve ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, what he would have to do to save them. So again, you can't put. Hold on a minute. You can't put the. Hold on a minute. One of the mistakes that atheists constantly make in these conversations is that you guys are constantly telling human beings to take responsibility for what they do, but then you guys want to put the onus always on God, and you don't want to talk about what Adam and Eve actually did. And they were disobedient because of their own free will.
Well,
It's either, wait a minute,
clarify
I'm
this.
almost done. I'm almost done. I'm
Okay.
almost done.
Okay.
It's either human beings got to take responsibility for what they do, or you're going to point to God every time you make a mistake in your life.
Let me wrap up what I was saying then, and maybe I can explain it better. Okay, it's like this. God is the type of deity that if you're on an island, hold on, listen. If you're on, let's say you're on an island, right? God, the island catches on fire. The island is ablaze, right? And you need to get out. God throws you a bridge to leave, right? And you take that bridge because it got you off the island. So you're looking at God going, "Oh, thank you so much. You gave me this way to get out of this." But God is the one that set the island on fire. He is the one that set the entire wheel
That's
for
not.
which, hold on, for which we are paying for. He knew that putting that tree there and having them eat of that fruit would cause all of this suffering and misery. He knew that he would have to sacrifice his son on a cross because the placement of that tree would result in this. He knew this, and yet he did it anyway. So he's putting people on an island, setting the island on fire, throwing a bridge to him and saying, "Aren't I great because I gave you a way out?"
Arnold Raw had a debate with Inspiring Philosophy, and they asked him a question. And I'm going to ask you the same question, too. How many scholars you got to support that claim?
Support what claim?
How many scholars do you have? Hold on a minute.
Tell me what
I'm being
claim.
serious here.
Tell
How
me
many?
what claim.
Wait a minute. As an atheist, you're supposed to reject what I believe, right?
Right.
Regarding the Garden of Eden.
I do.
And what happened there.
I do.
So hold on a minute. How many scholars do you have that agree with that nonsense that just came out of your mouth?
Which part?
And name the scholars too, by the way. You can Google them
Which
if you
part?
want. The part about God setting the thing on fire.
That's an
analogy. This is what you're saying.
That is not
Hold on
something
a
that's
minute. Hold on a
based in
minute. You're
fact.
saying that
Wait a
God is
second.
responsible.
G-Man wants
Wait a minute.
scholarly citations for an analogy
And
that
I'm not
Kyle
done.
just
I'm
made
not
up off
done.
the top of his
I
head.
am not done. That was his interpretation of what happened in the book of Genesis.
No.
Be fair.
No.
Okay.
I'm making an
All right.
analogy.
So for all of the evolutionists that's watching this right now, it's okay for me to twist and turn what you guys say according to the Godless Engineer.
I'm making an
That's what's gonna happen.
analogy. An analogy.
So let's try this again. Let's try this again, Kyle. Let's try this
Okay.
again. Okay.
Let's do it.
When is Adam and Eve responsible for what they did? When are they responsible? Why did they eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil?
Did they
According to the
know
book.
before they ate of that? Did they know what good and evil was?
I'll ask you this question again because you're not answering my question.
I have to have clarification based on what you believe.
I'm not done. I am not done. I am not done.
I know, but
you are trying to get out. You are trying to get out of answering my question.
No, I want to answer you, but I need you to clarify it.
Genesis chapter 3. Hold on a minute. In Genesis chapter 3, my question for you is: why did Adam and Eve eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil? Was it because of God or was it because of something else?
Did they know what good and evil was before they ate of that fruit?
Why don't you answer my question, Kyle?
I'm trying to.
Answer my question.
I'm trying
No,
to.
Kyle, I'm not going to answer that question, Kyle, until you answer mine. Answer it. Adam and Eve, why did they eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil? Your entire argument hangs on the fact that you're saying that God is responsible for
Yes.
Adam and Eve eating from the tree.
Yes.
Show me the verse where it says that God is responsible for
Okay.
it.
Okay. Let me answer you. I'm going to answer you with. I'm going to attempt another analogy. Okay. Let's say that I have two small kids, and I put them in a playpen, right? And I have a bottle of rat poisoning. And I know that if I put that rat poison in that crib, they're probably going to eat it because they're babies and that's what they do. Okay? I'm going to put that in there and I look at the babies and I say, don't eat of that rat poison. It will kill you. Yet they do it anyway. Who is responsible? Them or
Well,
me?
in your analogy, you're using babies and we're talking about adults. So I'll ask you this
How
question
do you know
again.
that?
I'll ask you this because the Bible tells me
They
they
don't know
were
what good and
adults.
evil is, though. They don't know what
Let
good and
me
evil is.
finish. Let me finish, dude. What
Okay.
are you scared of? What are you afraid of, Kyle?
I don't know that I've acted scared.
Well, you're
I'm scared
terrified to
of
let me
heights.
actually get a word in edgewise. So here's the thing. If they tell me something, how many babies you know going around? How many babies do you see going around naming animals and doing jobs? Have you actually read Genesis chapter 1, 2, and 3? Yes or no? You haven't read it.
Yes.
So I'll ask you this question again. Because God told Adam, he gave him a job and told him to name the animals.
Mhm.
He told Adam to be fruitful and to multiply. And he told Adam, he gave Adam a job. He even told Adam what he could eat and what he couldn't eat. Okay? Now I asked you a direct question. I'm gonna ask both of you this now. Okay, or you both got to admit that you don't know what you're talking about. Okay?
I think you're right.
In Genesis
I mean,
chapter 3,
I think you're right.
hold on a minute. In Genesis chapter 3, who made Adam and Eve sin?
God.
What was the reason for them eating from it?
God.
Can I actually read what happened? If you don't mind, can I read it? It says, now the serpent was more subtle than any of the beasts of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, have God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. For God don't know that in the day that ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And the woman, pay attention, Kyle. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and it was pleasant to the eyes, okay, and to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit and did eat, and also unto her husband with her, and did eat. And when you read the rest of the story, Adam and Eve are blaming the serpent, they're blaming the woman, and they're blaming God for what they did. So I'll ask you this question again.
Okay, please
I'll
ask
ask you
me
this
again.
question again.
Please ask me again.
I'll ask you this question again.
Okay.
Why did Adam and Eve eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil? According to the Bible, not according to your opinion.
Because of the only honest one in the entire story, which is the serpent.
A snake, by the way. I love how you're just fine with fucking snakes striking up conversations like it's normal.
Wouldn't you listen to a snake that came up and started talking to you? There's no like examples of any other animal in Eden talking to them. If a snake just crawled up to you one day and said, "Hey, those apples, you'll know what shit really is," then I would eat it too.
Okay, so hold on a minute. So number one, you believe that it was a snake, even though it says serpent. And number two, and this is interesting though. Do you know the identity of the serpent in the Bible?
What is a serpent to you?
I do believe it's supposed to be Lucifer.
It's supposed the serpent that's mentioned in Genesis chapter 3 is a devil. You just said he was telling the truth.
Yeah, he was.
I want to make sure that you understand that before I say what I'm going to say here in a minute.
Okay. I think I understand.
He said that Adam and Eve would not die.
Mm-hmm.
Prove it.
Well, I mean, technically they
didn't die when they ate it.
Well, in Ephesians chapter 2, you're gonna look like an idiot in a minute because I know my Bible and I'm very familiar with this topic. I'm an evangelist and I have to know this kind of stuff. So in Ephesians chapter 2, what does it mean to be dead? In Ephesians chapter 2,
like my soul right now.
Yeah. So that's what he was talking about. So how would the serpent tell him the truth?
They didn't die when they ate of the fruit.
What kind of death was he talking about?
I don't know. He wasn't around when I wanted to ask him that. Did he tell
It
you?
was talking about spiritual death and a physical death.
How do you know that?
Listen, in Ephesians, and I'm gonna read it to you right now. In
Okay.
Ephesians chapter 2, verse 1, and it says, and you have he quickened who were dead in trespasses and sins.
Mhm.
Okay? It says
What
it
does that
right
have to do with
there.
what the
And
snake
then
said?
Wait, so
because
hold on,
when the
G-Man.
serpent,
How did
let
Adam
me
and Eve
finish.
know that it
Oh
was
my
wrong?
Lord. Okay, so when Adam and Eve ate from the tree of the knowledge of good
Is
and
this
evil,
real?
when they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, they died spiritually. If you read the Bible, which you haven't, and most Christians watching this are understanding this now.
Oh, I'm sure.
If you actually look up what the Bible says, spiritual death is a form of death. We see it. We see it in the Garden of Eden,
I'm
and
feeling
we
it right
see it in
now.
the lake of fire. And we see. Listen to me. You can make all your jokes you want. If you don't want to have a serious conversation about this, we don't gotta have
Well,
one.
you're not having
But
a
the
serious
bottom line
conversation
is,
about it.
I am having a serious conversation. It is apparently obvious that you are ignorant to what the Bible says regarding
No,
this topic
G-Man,
versus your own
look,
personal opinion.
listen. One
This is
person
awesome.
cannot be this not self-aware. Like, you cannot possibly have fooled yourself into believing some of the things that you're saying. What you just quoted out of that verse has nothing to do with anything that the snake said in the garden. Nothing.
Okay, so let's read it again in verse 6 here. All right, let's read this again because you're lying at this
Yes,
point.
please. Let's repeat
You're lying.
ourselves again.
Okay.
Okay.
The serpent said
Yep.
that you will not die.
They didn't.
Okay. If you actually go past the book of Genesis and learn what spiritual death is, Adam and Eve was
But how do you know
spiritually
that's
dead
referring to
after.
that? He just says you won't die.
It's called Bible. You know what? I got a question for you. How do you know that natural selection is true? It's called study, right? The
do you
reason
mean?
why I know, listen to me. The reason why I know what I
Evidence.
believe is true is because of study. You guys don't know what you're talking about, and that is the difference between an atheist and a Christian. An
Mhm.
atheist is superficial in their beliefs, whereas Christians actually go into the Hebrew and the
Okay.
Greek, and we actually study.
Question.
And you guys don't.
Question.
You guys are
Okay,
idiots.
wait. Question. In Noah's Ark, right? All of the people except for Noah's family, they died as a result of the flood, right? How do you know that
What's wrong
they
with?
didn't just spiritually die?
Well, if you actually read the text, God sent rain, water came from the deep, and
Yep.
these people drowned. And the Bible actually says that. In Genesis chapter 3, and Kyle, if you're going to invite Christians on here, dude, you're going to try to sound like some type of expert. Let me give you some advice.
Oh, I'm not
Get
an
the claim
expert.
from
I
me
never
first.
claimed to be an expert.
Hold on a minute.
Never claimed to be an
Get the
expert.
claim from me first. Do what most atheists do. Well, the smart ones anyway. Get my claim first and then reject it.
I've
Don't
never
make
been-
claims up and then
I've
put
never
them in
been
my
smart.
mouth.
I've
Those
never
are
been
called
smart.
straw men. All right.
I've never been very smart.
So the bottom line is, if you don't even know what spiritual death is, you said that you went to church and you listened to sermons. What kind of church did you go to? I'm
I
curious.
barely listen to sermons. I tolerate.
You ain't had no faith to lose to begin with.
That's
You ain't had
probably
no
true.
faith to lose to begin with.
That's probably true.
So how are you saying that reading the
I
Bible
like how
made you lose
G-Man
your faith
feels
in
like
God?
he can dictate whether or not Kyle had faith. The
No, I don't have to
narcissism
dictate it.
level is like at 11.
Hey,
Listen,
godless
look,
engineer.
obviously
godless
I'm
engineer,
highly
why don't you do a
offended.
Google Hangout with some Christians?
I'm highly
Godless
offended.
engineer, why don't you do a Google Hangout with Christians to see how many of them agree with anything that you said tonight? Just do one.
Well, I
You
mean,
will
they
get
probably
laughed at,
won't.
dude.
Because, huh?
Yeah,
You know what?
because we don't believe the garbage that's coming out of
You
your
know
mouth.
what? We didn't even get
You're
to
not even
the
rejecting my faith. You're
to the-
rejecting your straw man.
I'm glad that at
Hold
least
on,
we
stop
were
with these
able
emotional
we were
jokes,
able
like
to
logical
agree
fallacies. and shit.
we were able to agree on the LGBTQ issue from the start, and I think that's what we need to focus on. Like,
We
at
don't
least
agree with the LGBT.
at least we
We
came
don't agree with
together on that.
LGBTQ.
We may have disagreed
We
on
don't
everything
agree.
else, but
We don't agree on LGBTQ things.
I
We got on and off that topic real
but
fast.
we've already
because you went
established
to
that
slavery.
Can I ask
that
a
words
pretty
don't mean
pointed
what
direct?
We
what
don't
you think
agree
they
on
mean.
LGBTQ.
So when you
Don't
say
lie.
you don't
Not
agree,
lie.
that means you agree, right?
I don't
So
agree.
hold
with
on.
LGBTQ.
Can I ask a pretty direct question here in relation to the LGBTQ
But if we're
question?
trolling right
No.
now, as of right now, and let my audience know I'm not taking this conversation seriously no more. If we're trolling, we're just gonna be trolling it. So and I'm pretty.
I
good
thought
at
you've
it.
been
I'm
trolling
trying
this
to
entire
ask- I
time.
want to ask a serious question. I want to ask a question on the LGBT
I'll help out
thing.
your show as much as you need it, Kyle, because I know you need it. But if you want to troll, trust me, I can bring up a lot
Actually,
of
that would
stuff
be
you don't
great.
want to hear right
You're-
now.
I'll take you up on that, though.
So let's
I'll take you
talk.
up on that.
I got no
That
problem
would
with
be
that.
great.
We can talk about Steve McRae. We can talk about a bunch of different
Okay,
things.
no.
Let's talk.
Look,
What would you like to?
G-Man.
What about Steve? Would you like to talk
Should-
about?
Oh God. No. Okay,
Go ahead and
G-Man.
talk.
Do you think that LGBTQ persons should be killed?
Well, they're going to be thrown in the lake of fire
bet
if
he
they
does
don't
now.
repent. That's for sure.
That's not what I asked. Do you think that
Now,
they
as far
should
as
be
them being
killed?
killed, as far as them being killed today, no, I don't believe that they should be killed today. But I do believe that they're going to be thrown in the lake of fire if they don't repent.
Oh, wait a second. But the Bible says you should kill those motherfuckers.
No, the Old Testament law that was
Yes,
given
it
to the
does.
Jews according to Exodus chapter 19, the law was given to the Jews. Go read your Bible. You don't know what you're talking about.
We've already established that.
No, I
That's
do
why
know what
Kent
I'm talking
Hovind,
about.
that's
Because
why Kent Hovind
it's
made
even
a fool out of you.
no, Hovind didn't make a fool out of nobody but whale
Oh,
penises.
yes, he did. We're all laughing at you and Aaron Raw right now. Trust me.
Hey,
He made a fool out of you, dude.
attack
Seriously.
the arguments, not the person.
I am attacking the
Attack the arguments,
so-
No,
not
no,
the
Godless
person.
engineer.
You were attacking my person. That's an actual ad hominem right there.
Well, you know what? I don't got a problem with that. So Godless engineer, when are you actually
But you
going
had
to
a
take the
problem with
time
it
out to
earlier.
read the
You
Bible
have the
for real?
audacity to
When are you
attack
going to take the
his
time out to read the
person, but
Bible?
not his argument.
When are you actually going to take time out to read the Bible, Godless engineer? You know, Dragnut is actually teaching people to stop debating a book they never read before. Maybe you should join his Dragoon clan and actually start taking his advice, because you sound like an idiot.
I
You
read the
don't know what
Bible
I
every
believe as a
fucking week
Christian.
on my goddamn
You
channel,
believe that I
G-Man.
believe you
I'm
believe
pretty
that
sure
Christians
that
are
you
out there
don't. Idiot
teaching that
doesn't
we
mean
should
what you
stone
think it means.
homosexuals. You believe that I, as a Christian, believe that I should stone homosexuals. Is that your wife talking to me like that, Godless engineer?
Yes,
Oh,
that's
you better,
my wife
you
talking.
better
Whoever
be
that
making a
is,
sandwich or
whoever-
ironing right
whoever-
now, Casey.
Whoever that is who's doing that, know your place and get in the kitchen and shut up.
I beat him to it. I beat him to it.
Thank you. Well, at least you knew what I was
Wow,
going to
the
say.
misogyny. You've been reading 2 Timothy?
You know what?
I've studied you like a.
You want to
I've
know
studied
what?
you like a
You
hog,
want to know
man.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you lost
What?
today too.
I want to know.
So, Godless engineer. So Godless engineer. Tell me something. How much Advil did you have to take after that whipping that you got from Ken Hovind?
Oh, I didn't have
I'm
to
not
take
taking it
any.
seriously no more.
But,
Trolling
I
at this
mean, you
point.
know, the one beer that I had during it was enough lube.
I had to cry. I had to rock him
Yeah,
to sleep
whatever.
for at least 2 days.
Why were you cussing so much when you were debating Ken Hovind about science?
Trust me, if you ever got in a conversation with Ken Hovind, you would cuss too.
Oh, and by the way, Godless engineer, I know you care about the
That
children
was
so much.
a little amount of
You're
cussing.
anti-abortion, right? You're anti-abortion, aren't you, Godless engineer?
No,
You're
I'm not.
anti-abortion, aren't
I'm
you?
pro-choice.
Oh, you hear that,
pro-choice.
ladies and gentlemen? It's wrong for God to kill children, but it's perfectly okay for Godless engineer to tell his wife
And
to
now,
go
ladies
murder
and
his
gentlemen,
baby.
this is the part of the
Nothing
show
wrong with
where
that
G-Man
whatsoever.
goes into meltdown
No,
mode. He will
that's
start
not what I
throwing
said.
around
I'm
all
not
kind of
melting
different
down.
claims
Nobody's
that have
melting
nothing to
down.
do with what we are doing, because
Nobody
this
is
You're
melting
melting
down. I'm
down,
trolling
dude.
at
I don't know
this
what
point.
you're talking
At this
about.
point,
we will remain
no.
calm.
At this point,
Everybody,
at this
remain
point, I'm
calm.
just trolling. At
Go
this
ahead,
point, I'm
G-Man.
just trolling.
Go
Because you
ahead,
guys
G-Man.
been trolling me for like the last half hour.
You're right.
So, Godless engineer,
I have not.
why
We
do
have
you
not been
support
trolling
abortion?
you. We've been having a conversation with you.
Godless
You just
engineer, why do you
fucking,
support abortion?
you fucking go off the rails.
Godless engineer, why do you support abortion?
Well, I support a woman's right to choose because there are various reasons for a woman to choose to have an abortion. I love
Mainly
how
so
you're
people don't
laughing at the
stone
fact
them to
that I
death.
support
You
them
hear that,
being
ladies and
able to
gentlemen?
have a
There are
choice.
many reasons why you should murder your baby. There are a whole bunch of reasons
No,
why partial birth
fetuses aren't
abortion should be
babies.
legal,
Fetuses
according
aren't
to Godless
babies.
Stop,
engineer.
everybody stop.
According
Everybody
to
stop.
Godless
Everybody
engineer,
stop.
murder
Stop.
the babies according
Hey,
to Godless
listen.
engineer.
Stop.
You
Everybody
go,
stop.
Godless.
You
go,
have the
Godless.
nerve. You have the nerve to say something about that when he's talking about the baby before it's even birthed. And what
Yep.
you are okay with, or even back then, is stoning the kid once they're born. Like, how do you make that leap? How is
Well, there's a difference. There's a difference between the age of accountability, which would be 7 years old, versus a baby that hasn't even had a chance to say mama yet. See, Godless engineer doesn't even want to give them a chance to say mama. So try a different argument.
That's not
Collins.
what
You
I
guys
said.
stink at
just
this.
Is
just
that-
have them
Dude,
so
you
we
I
can
have a
support
stone
9-year-old son,
abortion.
dipshit.
You
That is not what I
support
said.
abortion.
Hey,
You are
Hey,
disgusting.
G-Man, I
You
will give
support
G-Man, I
abortion.
will give you $10 right now, PayPal to you, if you can actually repeat my actual position as I have
You
stated
said
it. I will
you
give
said,
you
okay,
$10.
okay. My cash app
don't be
is
me.
GMan3233. That's my cash app.
You know he can't
You
do that.
said, and I quote, I support the right of a woman to choose. You said that you support the right for a woman to choose. Go to my cash app, liar, and give me my $10. Oh, you're not gonna.
I don't know. I don't know
That's
how
the
that makes
atheist
me a
way.
liar.
No, whoa, wait a minute. You ain't. I don't see the money on there, liar. I don't see the money on there. So when are you gonna give
Literally,
it?
I don't. Are you expecting me to do that fucking right now?
Yes,
You
I
repeated my
am. Yes,
position.
because you just said I didn't know what you said. So go ahead and give me my
Well,
$10.
ladies and gentlemen, this is the part of the show where we get into double meltdown mode. This is where
God
things
damn, are you
start
going through a
screaming.
second
Where the hell
puberty or
nothing to do
something?
about the thing.
So
We
no,
didn't even
I'm
get
just
to the
excited.
gay.
So
But-
anyway, godless engineer, please, come on. Where my $10 at?
Huh? I'll
That's right,
get you
ladies and
your
gentlemen.
money, but you're
DTA.
still
Don't
not.
trust any
No,
atheist.
you're
They're
still
all
not actually
liars.
grasping.
None of them
Because you
tell the
still
truth.
think that.
None of them tell the truth. Godless engineer's a liar. He said he's gonna give me $10 if I
He
I
just
repeat
said he
what he
was
said.
going
He ain't gonna
to.
do it. He's
He-
a liar,
It does.
I'm
He
and the
going
didn't.
truth
to.
is
He
not
didn't give you a
in
time
him.
frame.
Christianity.
Fuck off. Sorry. Can't do it anymore.
Jesus Christ.
Can't do it anymore.
I mean, see, here's the thing.
Godless
He
engineer.
repeated exactly what I
But-
said in order to get the money. So here's what I know.
Godless
I
engineer,
know
before
that
you
he
before you get into that,
actually.
before you get into that, let's you and I just.
Here, I'll take that shit off.
Okay.
I will send him
needed
his
that
money.
moment. I needed that moment to now go ahead. Say whatever you gotta say.
Okay, what that tells me though about GMan is that he actually knows what you're saying to him. He actually knows like what you're trying to impart on him, and he purposefully misrepresents it for his own reasons. Like in order to make his whatever kind of fucking argument, he purposefully misrepresents it. $10 ain't shit to me. I don't even know why he would think that I would lie about giving him $10, and he wants me to give it to him over Cash App. See, I've got to wait till this stream gets done. I got to find his Cash App ID again, and then like figure out how to fucking use the Cash App
Nope,
thing.
you're a liar.
Send them fucking money.
You're a liar. Here's the thing.
It's like,
And-
God damn it, I want you to Western Union me $10, and if you don't do it right now, you're a fucking liar.
Here's what happens. And it's a pattern, and it happens every single conversation that he's in. He has created this art of a question being put forth or an answer to a question, but he knows it's an answer to the question. So what he's going to do is by screaming, "That doesn't answer the question. I'm going to ask you one more time." That makes it not a question, you see. That's how this works. And all of this, I wish he was here so I would have a chance to say this, because this is going to be my like wrap up spiel. But all of this hems, the LGBTQ issue, the Bible, all of it hems on the simple fact of control. They want to control the narrative. They want to be in control of the conversation. They're in control of, well, that's the wrong translation. That's the wrong way that you're interpreting this. That's the wrong way you're interpreting that. Even going back to the reason the Bible exists in the first place is control. And the moment that they feel like they are losing that grip on that control, the only reasonable thing that they can do, and I see this all the time, is to completely change gears, take what you said, rearrange it in a way that you didn't say it, just like he did with you with the stoning of the kids, because you notice that, like the way you said that. Oh, godless engineer thinks it's okay for you to talk back to your parents. No, godless engineer doesn't think you should be stoned to death for talking back to your parents.
Well, yeah, and I mean, if G-Man would have even let me elaborate like on that, like I don't think that it's inherently wrong for a child to disobey or disrespect their parents. I mean, there are some times when it's perfectly fine to do that. Like, I don't know if you guys know the Jesus Christ that's on YouTube. He's got like 1 million subscribers. He's currently in a legal battle to keep visitation with his kids. Anyways,
Mhm.
he released a video today where he found child porn on his dad's computer. And he turned him into the Mormon authorities, like the leaders and everything like that, and nothing fucking happened to him. But it's like, is it disrespectful to turn your dad into the cops? Like, that's like that would be not obeying your father. But I know that he has like an escape hatch with, oh, well, you got to obey all the laws of the land because God says so.
Yeah.
And, it's just like,
It's bizarre.
there's no objective. Well, there's no objective like, oh, you shouldn't do this. Like as far as like the whole child talking back or whatnot. Do I want my son to respect me? Yeah. So you know what I don't do? I don't fucking stone him just because he has a shitty attitude on occasion.
Yeah.
Okay. So, huh?
Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, it's so fucking frustrating, because I don't think that it's necessarily wrong for a child to disrespect their parents. I mean, at multiple times in my childhood, I disrespected my parents, and that wasn't inherently like wrong or so horribly bad that I needed to be punished to the point of, being stoned to death.
Right. It's like
It's just ridiculous.
there are many situations around the world where parents put their kids in awful situations, and it's actually probably the best thing to not adhere to what they're saying. The thing about this is,
Yeah.
and what I hope people take away from this video, and no one does it better than GMan. By the way, if there are any Christians watching this and you are still Christian and you say that GMan, had his way here, we need to have a talk, and we're going to have a talk. But look at what the hoops. Look at the hoops. Look at the way that he had to twist things. Look at what it did to an actual person. It made someone be okay with saying, "I'm okay with you stoning kids. I'm okay with other people owning people." A black man, like he said, saying it's okay for you. There's nothing wrong with owning people. Like that's the mental gymnastics that has locked into his way of thinking. And to me, you have to really question like the goodness or the benefits or just the legitimacy of something that is rooted in things that can twist your mind to be okay with saying that in front of people, not behind closed doors, but actually in front of people. So yeah, unless Godless Engineer wants to tag on anything, I will get to super chats and we'll knock those out, and then we'll close out. Did you have anything?
Hold on. Should I screen? I found GMan's PayPal. So should I like screen share me sending him the $10, or can I just like do the $10?
No,
Yeah, I'll do a screenshot. Put it on
if
Twitter.
anybody demands proof that you paid GMan $10 for that, they can go fuck themselves.
Oh, I have no problem paying him the $10.
Oh, I know that. And what I'm saying is, there's no need to prove on screen that you have enough. I think. I not even going there. Like I said, if there's a problem with that, people can fuck off. Okay. Hi, G-Man from RJ. Nate Brody. Nate Brody's G-Man's real God. Praise Nate Brody. I agree. Also, he is a hell of an attorney. So if you are needing any sort of legal assistance, especially if you're going through a bad breakup, Nate Brody's your guy. Yuhan Roderick says Leviticus 25:44, Exodus 21:20. That is God's law. Stupid whore energy. You know what? That is the bright spot that I needed after what we just endured. Thank you, stupid whore energy, for just your name alone. Biblical slavery was chattel slavery. G-Man doesn't understand metaphors. Oh, is that not? I needed to provide scholarly referrals for an analogy.
Apparently,
Yuhan Roderick, Josephus knows his Bible. GMan Strawman's just like inmate number 06452-017. Yuhan Roderick says 15-foot whale weenie, inmate number 0652017. Stupid whore energy, I stole $3,000. Did you find it in a safe? And was it because you asked God for it? That's the question. Christina Webster. So if we can't compare ancient Israel and modern USA, why the fuck is he using a Bible from back then? Stupid whore energy. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You're going to Gale, Gel, jail. You're going to jail. Like my hair? Totally. Yuhan Roderick. Yahweh kept hardening Pharaoh's heart after he was going to set them free, all because he had to keep showing off. Stupid whore energy again. When the Lord your God gives you victory in a battle and you take prisoners, 11, you may see among them a beautiful woman that you would like to marry. Take her to your home. That is from Deuteronomy 21, verses 10 through 13. I'm sorry, Wilson. Better not make fun of Gary. He'll attack the dead. Yuhan Roderick, Saturday night dumpster fire. I missed these, as did I. Me and Godless Engineer were just talking about this last week. Because we had two really constructive, very, I think, informational shows, and we needed the blaze of this. RJ, G-Man, and then I'm sorry, Wilson. It is a fact. Kyle is not really Scottish. Yeah, I can see that. I don't really know what. Oh, hold on. Sigfrido Sarabia says, at Godless Engineer, why is slavery immoral and atheism? Why not survival of the fittest? It is not species. Oh, Lord. Is it not speciesism if we were humans when really we're just animals?
Okay, so atheism doesn't have any kind of principle on slavery. Atheism is just an answer to one single question. That's whether or not you believe in a God. So, and then you asked, why not survival of the fittest? Well, obviously, you asking that question shows that you don't actually understand what survival of the fittest is, because survival of the fittest isn't like fucking PUBG or something. Survival of the fittest is just whatever animal is best suited for its environment. It's able to survive better and therefore propagate the species through its genetic line. And so, like, survival of the fittest stops being survival of the fittest once you like insert some kind of like forced will or something in there. So like for instance, PUBG is not survival of the fittest in the same sense that you're talking about survival of the fittest. And is it speciesism to say that we're humans when we're all really just animals? I don't consider it speciesism. For one thing, I don't particularly adhere to that kind of ism. But to say to boil it down to the point where we're all just animals, so no animals can own other animals, kind of thing, I think is very disingenuous to the actual conversation being had, because we're obviously wanting to have an actual fruitful conversation, and all that distinction does is boil the conversation down to where it's a pointless conversation to have. So the actual conversation being had is whether or not it's moral for one human to own another human. You can extend that out to other animals in nature if you want to, and some people do. But for this particular conversation that we're having in relation to the Old Testament, to the Bible, to religion in general, uh, it's only concerning humans owning other humans because it restricts their agency, and it goes against all basic human rights. So, I mean, that's literally why it's wrong to own another person, because it violates the other person's human rights. It baffles me how G-Man either doesn't understand that, which I don't think is the case, or he purposefully plays stupid about it, and in order to make his point valid.
I don't think there's any playing. But it reminds me of that song. You and me, GE, we ain't nothing but mammals. So let's do it like they do on the Discovery Channel.
I love that song.
I do too. Okay, I'm sorry. Wilson says, here's G-Man's $10. He needs that gas station food while he's telling you to put your wife in her place. Ask G-Man where his wife and child are. Oh, that escalated quickly. Yuhan Roderick, join skepticmafia.com. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also verygoodpodcast.com/RnRock. And I can vouch and say that it is a very good podcast. Well,
Yeah. Every week we do a Bible podcast. We didn't do one last week, but that's just because of we had scheduling issues with getting the recording done. But every week on my channel we do a Bible podcast. This next week we're going over the Queen of Sheba and how she's whorish. Is she a whore? No, Queen of Sheba is not a whore, but she is bad. Queen of Sheba is something, and we're gonna figure it out this Tuesday. But also, Kyle, I sent you a screenshot of me paying G-Man. So I don't know if you'd be able to throw that up at all.
Listen, if you believe a lot of people out there, I don't care who gets paid what anytime. So why am I going to start caring now? Anyway,
but anyway, I found G-Man's PayPal and I paid him. I don't know if he's got access to that PayPal, but I gave him the money.
Well, you're a good man, and I am so glad that you were here to fight the flames with me. I don't really know what we did there. Here's the thing.
Well, I mean, honestly, I wish we had spent more time on the LGBTQ.
I knew that was going to happen. I knew it was going to it didn't matter which of those two things that we started with. We're never going to hit that subject. It's always going to bounce in 9 million directions. But here's the thing. This is what you need to take away. G-Man kicked our ass tonight. Me and GE are so fucking stupid, and we cower in the greatness and the scholarship and the adherence to facts that G-Man so graciously came onto this show and provided us. G-Man, you won. Love it.
No, are you kidding? He got an entire story wrong from the Bible.
It doesn't matter. He wins. He could literally say that the sky is purple and water is red, and he would still win. You know why? We don't exist. Atheists don't exist. Gay people don't exist. He wins every time. So the streak is still going, G-Man. You're not like the Undertaker at WrestleMania a couple years ago. You still are killing it, man. And we are honored that you came and kicked our ass tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not really all that honored that he came on here. I mean, once he started talking,
Do you think I'm being serious?
that really slow thing. Huh?
Do you think I'm being serious?
No.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure.
No. Well, I don't know. I really I felt I know the entire thing was disrespectful, but it was really bad when he started speaking really slow and yelling really loud. Like that right there was hyped for me for this entire thing when he started doing that.
I'm telling you, anybody that watches G-Man on different shows or like videos or whatever, there's an arc. It's the same pattern. Starts out okay, then start misconstruing what they say, then start saying they don't know what they're talking about, then start saying people are going to disagree with you. And then you just go into meltdown mode where you're like, oh, well, let's talk about Steve McRae. And you, GE, you didn't want to go on modern day debate. Fuck you.
I know, right? God damn.
Anyway, I'm going to go have a very stiff drink. And yes.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely.
you gonna have your cereal?
Absolutely. Well, no, not tonight. I had, okay, full disclosure. I ate an entire carton of muscadines the night before yesterday, like the entire
Oh,
carton,
okay.
and it hasn't really settled well. So
Oh.
okay, GE, are you singing us out, or are we just closing out tonight?
Oh, buddy, I got a lot of material to work with tonight.
Good, because I need something to drown out that noise that he left in my head.
G-Man doesn't know shit about the Bible. He gets basic shit wrong. The Israelites were already enslaved by the Pharaoh. G-Man don't know shit about pro-choice or abortion. He doesn't know basic medical facts. G-Man's a dipshit. I paid him $10 to tell me he's a liar. Yeah. Let me ask. Hold on. Let me say this correctly. Let me ask you a question.
And remember, folks, read your Bible and don't do what it says.